Hello and welcome everyone to the Academic Foxhole. Yay! Hi everyone. This is a special day today, rather than our regular video game streams or whatnot. This is Tales from the Foxhole, and we are doing a 1GM, one player RPG today, and it is Cthulhu Confidential, which is a system by Pelgrane Press using a special version of their Gumshoe system, which is all about investigation. And this is made for 1GM and one player. And I am so excited to announce that our player for today is the amazing Jackie Dash.
Me, Jakidash. I clicked my glass, but I don't know if you heard it.
Wait, I don't have a bell.
Okay, ding. We got this worked out. We figured this out.
Jackie Dash, why don't you tell us something about yourself and like who you are and where we can find you?
Yeah, so I stream on Mondays, almost all Mondays, unless there's like a national holiday going on. And I play video games. We just finished a really long game, which was Odin Sphere, which was great. It was a side scroller. It was punchy, and there was lots of stories. And we're about to embark on some new adventures. So if you're like, I want to play a new game, come hang out with us. I also do a lot of RPGs. I've done games like I was a part of Shadowrun Corporations on Hyper RPG. I was part of Leviathan Distant Stars on Geekspace TV. So I've done a lot of different systems. And I'm actually interested in the Gumshoe system myself for secrets. So it's really good to get my grasp on it in a horror style story.
Can you tell us anything about those secrets or hint about them a little bit?
I'm looking at I'm doing some projects that have yet to be announced just because they're not official yet. But I did a long form RPG with the OVA system, which is called High School Royale. It's on YouTube. Go check it out. It's pretty fun. And I like the concept of unraveling a story and a mystery together. And I think Gumshoe does that particularly well. So I'm looking at Bubble Gumshoe, which is the one that's focused for like high school and teenage stories. And I'm hoping that I can use that to make the next story in that kind of same vein of weird, but almost normal places.
Oh, that's so exciting. I think you'll enjoy the Gumshoe system. So I'm excited for all of that. And I'm Trooper SJP, and this is my channel. And wait, before I introduce myself, I'm so sorry. Where can we find you on the interwebs?
Oh, so Twitch, on Twitter, Jackie Dash. I spelled it, and I think it's somewhere around me.
It should be right here. Yeah.
Right here. Okay, so yeah. I'll spell it again at the end. Don't worry about it. If you're an auditory learner, I'll spell it at the end.
And I'm Trooper SJP, and I'm a longtime GM and also player, although more GM than player. And I GM'd over on Geekspace TV Night Witches, and I'm currently playing on the Greyhawk channel and also Little Red Dots channel. So that's where you find us. I have been lucky to GM Cthulhu Confidential once before with Drunkly Romantic as Old Man Dex Raymond.
That was good.
He died. So sad.
At the end, the part.
Right, yeah, he died at the end, which is a sort of interesting point about this system, because this system is for one player and one GM, Gumshoe 1-to-1. Players cannot die before the end of the adventure unless they do something like jump in front of a train, in which case then they die. But
armor does help a little bit.
But there's a little bit of plot armor. Your life might be sad. You won't be dead though, because then that's a premature ending. So they've worked really hard to figure out a way to have a system that works really well for one player and one GM, and so they've really thought about how to have a system that will allow really good stories with only one player, and I think they did a very good job of it. And today we have our exciting next part of Cthulhu Confidential with our second investigator, the intrepid reporter, Vivian Sinclair.
Yes.
Yes. And the adventure we're doing is Fatal Frequencies. As you can see it.
That is a very official looking printout.
Isn't that nice? I print out all of the things. This is you don't even want to, like, right now I've made it so you cannot see what my desk looks like. Oh, you can see that there. That's just a little bit. But I have a lot of props on this desk and also notes. They're all here waiting, and I am so excited for everyone in chat. Thank you, all of you who are here. And this will probably be a two session one shot. And why don't we just start a little bit? So, it's 1937, New York City. Right now, things look bad over in Europe with Nazis in power and war looming. And in the United States, it's the middle of the Depression. People have no jobs. They're poor, crazy wealthy people and super, super poor people out of work. People wander on the streets. When you walk down the street, you might see someone looking for a handout, or people trying to find jobs that aren't there. It's a difficult time, and people are desperate. And people, when they're desperate, will do desperate things to try to survive. But nonetheless, in New York City, the city that never sleeps, someone's got to tell the stories of those people and their desperation and what is happening. Someone has to keep the rich and powerful accountable and tell the stories of the everyday person on the street. One such person is Vivian Sinclair. Vivian Sinclair is a reporter at the New York Times. She's been reporting for a bit, and today finds her on a Monday, May the 10th. Wait, I lied to you. May the 14th. May the 14th, early on this Monday, Vivian Sinclair is at her office. Now, before we start officially, even though Vivian Sinclair is a pre-generated character, who that character is determined by the player. The player gets to, basically, the skills are set and the name is set, but a lot about that character is developed by the player themselves. And one of the first things a player does in Cthulhu Confidential is choose an ongoing problem that helps define who their character is. And all of you folks watching, you can see that there are 4 cards on the little playmat, and each one says something about, is a possibility to define who Vivian Sinclair is. Jackie Dash, if you wouldn't mind, would you read each of those 4 problems out for chat, and then tell me which of those 4 problems is your Vivian's problem?
Excellent. So I actually really like this mechanic. I think a character is better crafted, not by what they're good at, but by what problems they have and how they grow from that and how they are affected by their own problems. So the first one is a sucker for a pretty face. It's problem number 1, which is you change lovers as frequently as clothes. Of course, you try not to sleep with your story subjects, but sometimes it's the best way to get to new informants, right? That's problem 1. Problem 2, hand to mouth. You got into this line of work to make a difference, not to make dough. But even with the odd work you pick up around the office, you never know if it'll pay next month's rent. Which is very this time period.
Yeah.
All right. Anything for the story. Every good reporter remembers the time their nose for a story puts them in danger. You, on the other hand, you remember the time or two it didn't. And then part 4, problem 4. Hot-tempered. You go from 0 to boiling over in the blink of an eye. Whether it's for the justice or personal dignity, it puts a strain on relationships and even employment.
So what is your Vivian's problem?
I think I'm gonna, I think a lot of my characters decided by what wig I put on that day. So I think I'm gonna go with problem number 3. I think I'm in it for the story. Vivian is tired of getting those beauty pageant stories,
Mhm.
tired of going to a fair and seeing the two-legged calf and reported on that. I think it's Vivian wants the big one.
Mhm.
And I think she's tired of not getting it.
Mhm. Mhm. So let's get rid of those cards that are not going to be relevant for you.
Okay, cool. And you're gonna do that one? So I don't
I'll
have to
do that
touch
one.
it?
Yeah, I'll do
Okay.
it. I'll
I
delete
just
those
want to
for
make
you.
sure we're not both deleting it.
We can delete all of the things all of the time. Now, throughout the course of this game, when you do well, you might get some edge cards, which will help you out. And when you do poorly, you may get problem cards, which will not help you out. This sometimes happens. So, imagine this newsroom. You're on like the third floor, fourth floor of the building where the New York Times is held, and this is a huge open office space with rows and rows of desks where reporters sit, and in every reporter has got a typewriter, and everyone's desk is a little bit different. But people are smoking, so this entire newsroom is full of cigarette smoke and the sounds of phones ringing and typewriters clacking. And I would love to ask you, what does your desk look like? How does Vivian keep her desk?
I think Vivian's desk, is this the kind of office space where it's the weird cloth dividers that you could put things against?
Short, though, so you can kind of see people around, but little short ones, yeah.
Great. I think a lot of Vivian's early work is on there. I think Vivian has like her first ever article. I think Vivian has like, there's probably an about the writer section in the newspaper, and that showed up. I think there's like a picture of home. But as you start to notice that less of her work is being put on the bulletin on her own wall. And instead you start to get this like weird pictures that don't follow maybe any kind of thought train. There's, I wouldn't say red ribbon, but I would say there might be twine in between one or two. There might be small pieces of paper posted with questions or phone numbers, as you see Vivian's a couple used rolls of typewriter ink on the side, and you see maybe an article that is like that she's typed up that's half in a manila folder, and on that manila folder there's just like in red ink too dramatic is what is the notes that's written on the article
From your editor.
from my editor.
In case people want to know, when I'm looking down, I'm taking notes about what's happening, what I'm being told, and I'm taking notes in a reporter's notebook, so it's very official.
I feel it. I feel it.
Feel it. Tell me, what is something on the desk that is most important to Vivian?
I think if you asked her 10 years ago, there would be a photo of her family that was once very centered in, you know, maybe a picture of the younger sister, maybe a picture of like the mom, maybe they're all hugging, maybe the younger sister got married and that was really good. But I think that picture's been put aside. I think it's been pushed to the edge. And I think what's been more important is that she actually got permission to use one of their cameras. I think she has borrowed one of the New York Times cameras, and I think that has been really valuable to her because, as you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yes. Oh, tell me, what was the very last story that Vivian worked on?
Worked on or published?
Published.
Okay. I think there might have been, she worked with another reporter, and together they teamed up about a small ring of crime that was happening in a small borough of New York, where some thugs were going to each individual person's door and saying, hey, we're providing security, you have to pay us, and if you don't pay them, they would destroy your storefront.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we reported on that, and I think that led to some really good police work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yet, Vivian's name was second.
Is her name on that byline?
I think it's at the bottom. I think there's something else. That second page flip. I think she's on the bottom of that one.
Oh, the person that you are working with, his name, and I know his name. Don't ask me.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I will now know it.
Don't ask me why I know it. I'm probably worried about the fact that I do know these things, but I do. His name is Lawrence, and his last name is Ames. Lawrence Ames, and he is a reporter here in the Times with you. And tell me, so you did this byline with him. How often do you work with him?
I like to think, and let me know, because you know a little bit more about Lawrence than I do. I envisioned that Lawrence was young, younger than Vivian, and Vivian wanted to help out this new kid. And so they worked, she's like, this is how you get a scoop. This is how you get the best coffee in the area. And what slowly started to happen is that Lawrence got offered more and more stories.
Yeah.
And I think this latest one was Lawrence reaching out to Vivian to try to help her out because it's kind of rough for her lately. And I don't know if Vivian was quite pleased by that. So I think Lawrence is probably on the 4th or 5th floor window.
Yeah. Right. But he still remembers that you gave him that break.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think Lawrence is. I think it's just like, Lawrence is a good looking guy. He's got a nice 5 o'clock shadow. He looks the part. He can act the part.
Yep, he does. Can I ask you another question?
Of course.
I have 2 more that I want to ask. One is, has Vivian ever lost someone important to her?
When you say lost, you mean dead, right?
I do.
Okay. I'm like, I don't think she started a reporter because someone went missing. I think Vivian had a really good best friend. I don't have a name for this friend yet, but I think Vivian, it was a best friend that they both moved to New York together. Vivian wanted to be a reporter, and she wanted to be a big Broadway dancer. So they worked really hard. Both of them were getting their big shots. I think, Vivian went to a couple of her shows. This was maybe a couple of years before she passed.
How did she die?
I don't think it was like, I want to say a real bad accident on the stage.
Oh.
I want to say it's a really bad accident on the stage, and then her heart couldn't keep going. Like, it's one of those things where the doctor looks at you and say, we don't know what's going on. Her body's fine, but she's failing.
Died a little, they will say, people will say she died of heartbreak.
Yeah.
But that's not a thing, is it?
No, those people are dumb.
And then the last question I want to ask you.
Yes.
Does Vivian carry any weaponry on her?
I don't think weaponry is a great word for it. I think she's learned to keep something heavy in her purse. But that's it. Okay. I wouldn't say there's any skill to it. I wouldn't say just something heavy in the bottom. Nothing's wrong with a brick-lined purse.
Nothing is wrong with a brick-lined purse. Sometimes you need a brick for things.
Sometimes you need a brick for things.
I mean, that's true, right? I mean, sometimes you're like, oh, look, there's a missing brick. Let me just use it in your face.
I'll give it a good home.
So, on this day, Monday, May the 14th, 1937, it's hot. It's sort of turning hotter, and it's a bit humid. And you've got all the sounds of a busy office. And you get a phone call on your line, which often happens, but it's nice to have one.
Uh, I think Vivian waits for one full ring and then picks it up because if it's a wrong number, it usually cuts off before the end of the first. Vivian Sinclair, how can I help you?
Hey, Viv. It's me, Midge, downstairs at reception.
Hi, Midge.
How are you doing today?
You know what? It's fine.
I've got someone here to see you. A young woman wishes to meet with you. Should I send her up?
You know what? I want to get a cup of coffee. I'll come down.
Okay, I will tell you. I'll be right down.
All right, thanks, Midge. Click. Man, slam. I don't know what sound effect you want there. It's a heavy phone. It's a heavy phone.
It's a heavy phone. You might have one in the bottom of your purse. It is unclear.
Don't know. So Vivian grabs her jacket, which is, I mean, it's May, but you know New York May. It's never going to be it's not warm. So it's probably more of a trench coat style. And then she goes downstairs, probably grabs her bag on the way because she does want a cup of coffee, and then sees who's at the bottom.
And when you come down to the bottom, you come down the elevator and you're in the lobby. And there's a hustle and bustle, and there's the reception desk, and you know immediately who is waiting to see you. You can just tell. You do not know who this person is, but they have that look of someone who needs something.
Okay.
It's a young woman, and she has got sort of dishwater blonde hair and blue eyes that are dull. She's got these sort of dark circles underneath her eyes. She looks like she's been crying a lot, but not at the moment. Her clothes are in good repair, but they're old, right? They're not fancy. They've been patched in places. She doesn't look like she has money. And she's a bit thin, but not like maybe she's a bit underfed, perhaps. And she's looking a little desperate. And when she sees you, she immediately knows that you are the reporter that she's looking for. And she sort of steps up, hopefully, for you, and she's got a little handkerchief in her hand, and she steps up and she goes, Miss Sinclair?
Yeah. What do you need? What do you got?
I was wondering if maybe you could help me. I mean, what I mean is I have a story for you, maybe.
Give me one sentence about the story.
My fiance is being framed for murder.
That's a great sentence. There is a pie stand that's like 2 blocks away. I'd like to take her there.
And you walk out, making sure no one's going to steal your story, of course. If you have this,
no, but that's why we're talking outside.
That's why you're talking outside. And you head down, and there's like a little a stand with little benches, and where there's a guy with a big nose that's a little bit red. Perhaps he has a long life of drinking behind him, and he sells these pies, and people can sit on these benches and get pies, and you've got the nice traffic going back and forth. And she sits down sort of daintily on this little bench, and the guy, he goes, "Hey, Viv!"
Hey, Tony! Wait, why am I doing that? Hey, Tony!
Apple, cherry, rhubarb.
You know, give me the works. Give me the works. Add 2 cups of coffee. Do not hold that cream. I'm gonna need that sweetness today.
Got it. And the woman, she goes, "Oh, nothing for me. That's okay."
You sure? You look like you're gonna keel over any second now.
Oh, I don't. No, it's all right.
Well, I'm gonna get this many, and you can eat as much as you want. And if not, I'm taking it home.
And Tony nods, right, and sends out like a boysenberry pie and an apple and a slice of like a strawberry pie, and then 2 cups of coffee.
Thanks.
And when the pies come, you can see that she's hungry, but she's not certain if she should eat something. So like she's got like the little fork, and she just sort of waits to see if you'll eat and if it's okay. Like there's like a real sort of like nervousness about it.
No, yeah. I think Vivian, like, she's like, looks once and then just like without trying to make it a show, but definitely does put the air of it's just between us girls. We're gonna eat pie. Like that's what we do.
And once you break the crust, right, she will sort of come over and she'll eat this. And the minute she takes that first bite, like you can see, like it's probably the best thing she's had in a couple of days. Who knows how long it's been since she's had something nice. And she just sort of exhales a bit and she says, so I was hoping that you might be able to help me.
Really depends what kind of evidence you got. Tell me your story. I need to know it.
My name is Sadie Cain, and I'm coming to you because I saw a story that you wrote a couple of years ago, and it was about an innocent man being framed, and you wrote that story about how the police were framing people that didn't do anything, and I think that's what's happening to my fiance, and I thought that maybe you could help him.
I mean, the story's gonna help everyone. Let's be real. Story's good, things change. So let's see what we got.
Well, he's my fiance, George. He's a wonderful man. He's so smart. George Preston, that's his name. We've been seeing each other for maybe 2 years now. He's one of the smartest men I've ever known. Not like everybody else in the neighborhood. He's not like one of those regular Joes. He's smart, and he's so kind, and he's gentle, and a bit of a dreamer. He's special. But a few nights ago, Wednesday,
Yeah.
Someone was murdered in his apartment building, and his neighbor. And, it was very upsetting to everybody I know. But then he disappeared the next day, and no one's seen him since. And once he went missing, the police decided that he must have done it because, someone gets murdered and the next day he goes missing. And so they've just decided that he did it. But I know he would never murder anyone at all. And all I know is that he went to work the next day, which was Thursday, and then he didn't come to work on Friday, and that's when his landlord called the police. And then I didn't hear about this at all. I didn't know that he was missing until Saturday when the police just showed up at my house, and they just went through everything. They tossed everything, and they demanded to know where he was, but I didn't even know he was missing. And then I was at work. I work in a garment factory, making clothes. And yesterday they came in and they told my manager that George was a murderer, but he's not. And then they asked me more questions, but they wanted to know where he was, but I don't know where he is. And I was hoping you could. And then I was fired from the factory because my boss didn't want any trouble. And I just.
Well, that's a damn shame. That one, pardon. That's a shame. You do good work. Probably.
I just thought maybe you could find him and prove that he didn't do it.
I don't want to test your heart here. What makes you think he's alive?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, and this might be the story popping in my brain, but your neighbor gets hurt, then he goes missing. Is that area particularly known for break-ins?
I mean, it's not the best neighborhood. It's not a good.
It's New York. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the best neighborhood, but I mean, things like this don't happen normally.
Do you got a way into his apartment?
I tried to get into his apartment, but his landlord wouldn't let me in. He said that that it's a police business, but the police have been gone as far as I know from the apartment for the last couple of days, so I don't know why he won't let me in.
Can you give me the address to that location? Maybe yours as well. I'll do some follow-up on that today.
Of
And I'll get
course.
back to you. Yeah.
His apartment's in the Brooklyn Naval Yard, and she gives you this address, and he's on the 3rd floor, apartment 305. And it was the man across the hall that was murdered, is my understanding. I don't.
Do you remember the number of that one?
No, I just think it was. No, it was his next door neighbor. I don't know, to the left or the right of him. I don't know. I've never met the man. I don't think that George ever met the man either. I mean, maybe just, in the everyday. And she writes down her address as well. I don't live too far from George. You within walking distance? But I'm sure he's not dead. I mean, he's got to be okay. I mean, I don't know why he ran off. He's not the type. He's not the type to do something like that. He has a good job. I mean, many people don't have any jobs at all, and he wouldn't do anything to...
Where does he work?
He's an electrical repairman. He works at Fuller Electrical Repairs. It's an electrical repair shop on just a little bit north of Fuller Avenue in Brooklyn. It's within walking distance of the apartment. It's one of the better places to work, and he had steady work. He still had a job. He got paid, but he was working on an invention.
What kind of invention?
Oh, he said it was going to be something that would change the world, that would revolutionize everything.
All right.
I think.
You've given me a lot of places to start with this one. And you think he hasn't run off. You think, finishes his invention. Somebody gets too close. You swear by him.
Oh, of course. I mean, he's... And if you don't, you can, if you don't take my word for it, you can ask his best friend Charlie, who works with him at the electrical repair shop. They've been friends since they were kids.
That'll be good. Just Charlie? No last name?
Oh, sorry. Fitzpatrick.
Perfect. You're doing great, sweetie. Like, if this had happened to me, I'd be balling on the floor. You're holding it together. You're being strong. I'm going to start on this. I'm going to hopefully get back to you within the day. We'll see what we got.
I just wish the police would stop showing up wherever I am and asking me questions that I don't have answers to.
Next time they come over, call me. I got some connections, and maybe I can make it lighter for you.
Okay.
You got yourself a lawyer yet?
Oh, I couldn't afford anything like that.
You'll be surprised how lawyers will seem to find you. You'll be interested. Maybe you can kind of deal. I think you just need to find a way to protect yourself pretty soon.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you got like a sister, got a best friend, got a mom.
No, my mother's older. I was giving some of my money that I earned at the factory to her. I mean, times are hard, and I don't really know what I'm going to do now. George said that his machine was going to go, and once his machine got finished, he'd make all sorts of money. We'd get married, and everything would be okay.
We'll figure something out. There's good people out there. We'll figure something out.
Okay. And you'll find him, won't you?
If he's out there, we'll get him.
And I know I didn't murder that man. And if you could just prove it.
We got to find him first. Let's try that. All right? All right.
Miss Sinclair? Thank you.
All right. Let's eat this pie.
Oh. And like she eats it, and like at first she tries to eat a little bit quickly, but you see her like slowing herself down so she can enjoy this.
I think Vivian eventually starts forcibly changing the conversation. I think she does a couple avenues of like looking around and talking about like see that guy, and then like giving the small scoop on that person, or like even if half of it's lies, like just trying to distract, because there's a lot of sadness here, and Vivian cannot handle it. No.
Vivian does not like the sadness.
No, Vivian's like, all right, yes, very sad. Hi.
I have just a quick question. Did Vivian report on the death of her best friend?
I don't think so. I think that was one that like she might have written the obituary, but that was a small subset.
Yeah.
I don't think it was big enough to be a scoop.
Right.
But I think she would have written the obituary.
Okay.
She was no front dancer. Like she was still getting those roles, still getting up there.
Still small time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can tell that that Sadie is tired, right? She's exhausted.
Yeah.
She doesn't look like she's slept a lot. She looks very nervous. You have the skill assess honesty, and for the audience, in the Gumshoe system, you have two different types of skills. You have general skills and you have investigative skills. And so in this system, anytime a person wants to use an investigative skill, they don't have to roll for it. They automatically succeed if there's information to glean with that skill. So the player can just say, hey, I want to assess honesty, or I want to use intimidation, or I want to use my research or chemistry or search, and they can find information that way. Other skills like punching, you have to roll for, but investigative skills, you will get the information if the information is there to get. And Vivian Sinclair has a number of investigative skills.
I got some skills.
She's got some skills. So, for example, assess honesty is one of the skills. And Vivian can say, like, do I think this person is an honest person, right? Do I think Sadie is honest, or that she's putting me on in some way? And assess honesty would tell you that she is not lying to you. In your line of work, you have seen people whose loved ones are charged with crimes. Mm-hmm. And they might go to the press hoping to get a positive statement, a positive story to sway a jury so that their loved one will be found not guilty. But you do not get the sense from her at all that she is being manipulative or lying or putting something on. She seems to really believe that her fiance would never murder anyone. The only thing you can sort of pick up in terms of like being a little bit funny with her is that she's probably going to you because she has no money and cannot afford a private investigator.
No, yeah, this is one of those things of when bad things happen to good people, it's a lot. It's never just one thing. So like losing your job, all that. I was like, this sounds more honest the more that we give those pieces. Yeah.
And she comes off to you as honest that way, and just a little. Maybe naive, right? But she believes what she's saying.
Oh no, this Charlie character, he's no good. Sorry, what's his name? I'm gonna give me a second.
Charlie Fitzpatrick, the friend?
No, I'm trying to think of.
George Preston.
George Preston,
the fiance.
Yep, there he is. I gotta underline that scoop. George. Something's happened with George. And so I think Vivian would go back and she would actually use her research skill to try to figure out, is George, like, does all these pieces line up? How many George Prestons are there in New York? Is there multiple, maybe they had a second apartment. Maybe they were already married. Maybe, I don't buy this smart, kind, and a dreamer and would want to date. Like, hold the fuck.
I feel like Vivian is a little cynical and suspicious.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I think Vivian at this point is starting to get a little cold in her work.
Yeah.
Like, I think Vivian dyes her hair blonde not because it's fashionable, but because the grays are showing. So.
How old is Vivian?
I think her mother would say past marrying age.
Oh, so she's like, what, 25? No, it's the 30s. It's the 30s.
Yeah. No, I think she's late 20s.
Late 20s, yeah.
Yeah.
She's been working for a while. Still getting some of those beauty pageant stories, huh?
Still getting the beauty pageant stories. You know, somebody's got to report, and they're like, well, you know, a female knows a female. Oh. That's her manager, I guess.
That's how he is. He's like, so when you do some research, you do not find, and that's not difficult for you. You have access to the newspaper morgue, the library. There's a lot of ways you can find things out. George himself seems to be not particularly well off. There's nothing really sort of famous about him. Nothing sort of pings up for you. The only thing you can find a little bit about his place of employment. The
Fuller Electrics, right?
Mm-hmm, the Fuller Electric. What you can find is that there was a story in the paper from 1929 when there was a lawsuit against the electrical repair store brought by a different electrical repair store charging Fuller with monopolistic practices, right? Sort of like pulling up all of the best electricians and like making so that nobody else can get really good electrical repair people to work in their spaces, being pretty cutthroat in business, undercutting things and making it so that it's difficult for other stores to be able to sort of exist. But your follow-up shows that particular competitor went out of business when the stock market crash happened, and so they dropped the suit.
Well, it's because they're just whining for no reason. Just get better. Like,
just get better, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you can find? From addresses, it looks like you've got a lot of Brooklyn. You know that the people in the neighborhoods where George Preston and also Sadie Cain come from are not people with money. They're not the kinds of folks who, you know, go to college or become famous inventors. There's not a lot of hope in those neighborhoods. So they're not a lot of dreamers, is what I would say. They're not a lot of people who have big dreams.
Yeah. I think she doesn't believe the story about this big, magnificent invention.
Yeah.
I think dreamer, like, I don't think she has the dreamer's dream anymore.
Yeah.
But I think she believes Sadie thinks that.
Yeah.
So she's going to do we get it that there's a police line on apartment 305, but
well, there was.
I think Vivian has also figured out how to talk to landlords.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's going to make her way down there I think she's going to keep her trench coat on, and I don't think she tells her editor where she's going anymore. I think that has just ended up with some poor relationship between her and her editor on both sides. I don't think Vivian is the star employee that she used to be.
Oh, well, but if you get a really good story, that'll change everything, right?
Look, I'm just done with the third floor. The third floor, I'm done with it. I want that fourth floor. The fourth floor editors, they're nice.
Yeah, if you can get to, like, all you need is a really big story that people will believe and that is in no way creepy.
No, I'm tired of the creepy ones.
Yeah, no. So you make your way to the Brooklyn Naval Yard.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not, it's kind of slummy. It's not great. It is, however, crime, how do I put this? Crime is somewhat low in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Depending.
Is it just one of those things that crime always happens, but no one reports on it anymore because it doesn't even matter? It's
more like there's the mafia, and if you commit crime in their neighborhoods, they will kill you.
Oh.
But they commit crime, so I mean, it's
yeah, but they're mafia-approved crime.
Yeah,
it's different.
Yeah, it's different. Like, it's mafia. So there's some mafia-approved crime in the neighborhood, but not a lot of other kinds of crime in that neighborhood, or else there might be sort of consequences.
Okay.
So when you go down here in this neighborhood, there are a lot of these sort of slummy buildings that are kind of decrepit and not in the best space for people who don't have money. And when you make your way to George's place, It's it's like an 18th century building that was sort of redone 40 years ago, but it's sort of falling apart a little bit again. It's not the worst, but it's cheap.
It fits this area, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and it started off, the building was one of these buildings that was built to be housing for factory workers, and so it was just like really awful. And then it was sort of refurbished to include like a little bit of a kitchen so that actually they are actual apartments. But again, not great apartments.
Okay.
And you can if you go... Like, this is like, thinking about it, if you're sort of thinking about the area, this is like maybe a 15-minute walk to his work, right? He could probably walk 15 minutes to work. It would probably be like maybe a 20-30-minute walk to Sadie's place from here. But like, he doesn't have to have a car, right? He would never be able to afford one to get to where he needs to go in his life. And when you walk in the building, right, you walk into this apartment building, and to your left, there is an office, and to your right, there's a bank of mail, there's like mail slot ones, like all the little...
Yeah, okay, all right.
Like the little, the mail slots, and then there's like a stairwell that will go up the stairs. And the minute you walk into the building, this head pops out of the office. Just the minute the door opens, this like head pops out of the office, and there is this old man, hard 50s, right? He's in his 50s, but he looks like he's lived a hard life. He's got kind of a slightly, like a nose with a bump on it, like it's been broken. He is wearing like a vest that's sort of wrinkled and a shirt that's wrinkled. He looks a little slovenly, and his eyes are puffy, and his nose is sort of running, and he's got a handkerchief, and he looks like he's got a cold.
Ugh. All right.
And he pops his head out, and he goes, "Who are you?"
I would like to use my streetwise ability to think, is he going to listen to me more as a reporter or pretending to be a part of the apartment coalition doing an inspection? I don't want to do the one that I think he's gonna listen to better. So I don't know if he wants to do the threatening or if he wants to do the like, hey, I want to write a good piece of this apartment.
That's a very good question. I would say that he's had the police running around at him right now, and a murder in his building, which probably makes it difficult to rent out apartments. So I would bet, sort of looking at your streetwise, that going in the reporter way might be a little bit better, because you might be able to sort of bargain with him for a good story.
I think I actually have an idea.
Do it.
I think. Well, hi. I was hoping you can give me a tour around this place. I'm from the New York Times. I'm writing top 10 affordable apartment complexes in this area for new up and coming. Yes, I found your place to be have the correct je ne sais quoi, so to speak. It's close to some factories in the area, and I think a lot of people looking for work would be interested. Do you mind giving me a small tour? I think, Vivian has business cards.
Oh yeah, totally.
I think she'd show a business card and just be like, I'd love to take some quick shots and all that.
And just a little note, as you're saying this, and you're saying about the up and coming and that you're the reporter and you've got this camera on you, a woman comes down the stairs, and she's got sort of jet black hair, and she's dressed sort of normally, nicely. Maybe she's going out to work, I don't know. But she's got a little pocketbook, and she's sort of heading down the stairway, and she hears what you say about being a reporter, and she turns around and walks back up the stairs. Like, she hears you and then goes right back up the stairs again. You don't know what that was about, but you just sort of notice it.
That seems interesting. I am curious. Ba-ding.
But you just notice it as he's like, Oh, yes, of course. Our building is a good building. We want the best kind of tenants. It's generally everybody's quiet. I would love to give you a tour. Come with me. And he's like, these are our mailboxes. They're some of the best mailboxes. Very secure. Nothing is stolen. This is my.
Ever.
No. This is my office. I'm always right across from the mail room, and I'm always making sure everybody's okay and safe. I'm always here, never shirking my responsibilities. Come with me up this way. And he takes you up to the first floor. And he's like, these are apartments. We have an empty one, I think, on the second floor. We mostly have quiet people here. They don't cause trouble. And he takes you up to the second floor, and he opens up one of these apartments for you. And it's not a great apartment. You know, it's...
I think so.
No, it's basically one room with like a little kitchenette. It's not even a real kitchen. It's just like a little counter. But there is at least a little stove top in there. It's small.
All right.
Yeah, you know, I mean...
I've seen worse from New York flats, but this is okay.
Yeah, and the paint's not fresh, right? It's a little bit... This is an apartment that is new that should be spruced up for a new client, but the carpet's a little ratty. It smells a little, but... You could see, you wouldn't want to put a whole family in here, but for a single person or maybe just a couple, it'd be pretty nice. I mean, especially if we don't have a lot of money, it would be pretty decent.
No, this is a decent place for a starter home.
It is. It is a decent place. So the New York Times is interested in my building. My name is Clarence Simpson. Simpson. Simpson.
I see, Clarence.
I've been the manager here for 10 years.
That is quite a title. I think I'm trying my flattery skills just to get him calm down and be like, that's quite a title. I think this is a waste of film. She takes 3 photos of this room.
And the minute you start taking photos of the room, he's very excited, and he kind of just stands in front of like a little hole in the wall so you can't take a picture of that, just subtly.
That's fine. I think she does that. And I think I definitely think she will not bring up the crime. I think for sure she will not bring up the crime. I think she's gonna ask, how many floors does this building have?
We have 8 floors. It's yes.
And are there openings on every floor?
Yes. Well, not on every floor. Most of the top floors are full at the moment. We have a couple of openings on this one here, 2. We have an opening on
I'm sorry, what floor was that?
We have an opening on 3 soon. Soon, not now, but soon we'll have an opening on 3.
A happy couple moving out? On 3?
No. We had a little bit of trouble the other day, a few days ago. You've not heard about this?
You know, I'm kept pretty highly in the real estate section. Lighten me. You have such great knowledge.
Well, there was a bit of a
little bit of a little bit of a murder. Is that what you said?
Yeah. And that's not normal. We don't normally have crime in our building at all. It's a safe building, affordable, wholesome. People who live here are good tenants who don't cause me any trouble, aren't loud. It's a good place to live. And that murder was just not normal. Didn't normally happen. It's a safe place. It still has the Jenny Sequa that you talked about in the building.
Yeah, well, I want to report that it's safe. So if you could, I don't want to report on it being dangerous. So if you could just reassure me, perhaps you could tell me a little bit about it, I wouldn't have to put it in my article because I just want to be reassured that the people who I write to are not at all. Um, I trust you, but I want to reassure them because I am writing this article. It's
Oh,
my name on the line too.
but it wouldn't go in the article.
No, not if it all checks out.
Oh, okay. Well, happened upstairs, third floor. One of my, it was a Wednesday night, and there was some. I didn't happen to be in the building that night because I was out seeing a movie in the picture houses, because it's nicer there, and it was, so I wasn't here when it happened. Some of the tenants were here, but I understand that there were some complaints about noises, strange noises, I think, and then somebody heard a scream. Strange sounds, and then a scream from Myron Fink. Tenant. Nobody could get in though, so they had to wait till I got back. And when I got back, I went and I opened the door to Mr. Fink's apartment. Yeah, I will say, if I'd gotten back earlier, me being at the pictures wasn't a problem. It took.
Oh no, you deserve some time off.
Right, and even if I'd been here, it wouldn't have helped. I mean, there was nothing to do about Mr. Fink. Even if I'd been there at the time and opened the door right away, there would have been no saving him. No saving that man, so it wasn't my fault that I wasn't here. Because he was dead. And there was,
oh no. I think she's like trying to act surprised at murder, but like she's seen a lot, like she's seen some crime scenes. Oh dear.
Oh, don't get, it was brutal. It was terrible.
Oh.
And I saw it. And then I called the police, and the police, they didn't even send him to the hospital. They sent him straight to the morgue. That's where they sent him, right to the morgue. Because there was nothing anyone could do about it, is what I'm saying. And then I checked on all the tenants. Because there was a murder. So like a hero. Yeah, like a hero. If you could.
I definitely wrote that.
I went and I checked every single tenant in all the rooms with the police. I checked them because I have the keys to the building, and I checked everybody. Well, one fella, the murderer, he didn't open his door. When we knocked on the doors, George Preston, next door neighbor, the murderer, knocked on his door. He didn't open. So I used my key with the police. We opened the door.
What's in there?
He was in the room in the dark. All the lights off, and he was just in his bed, shivering, kind of freaking out. But everybody was a little on edge. I didn't think much of it at the time. But here's the thing. The police said to everybody, nobody do anything, nobody do any funny business. And the police officer in charge said to me, if anybody does any funny business, that I should call him. Any funny business. And he's like walking you up towards the third floor as you're talking. And because I want to show you. And he says, see, and he kind of like points out the doors, and he's like, yeah, I opened all these doors myself, and it's a walk. I had to walk all the way up the stairs.
That's a lot of walking. It's very impressive.
Thank you. I'm 57, but I'm.
Oh, you don't look a day over 35.
Oh.
Flattery scale. Just keep going.
I'm gonna tell you, just between you and me.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that that there had been crime scene tape on both of these apartments, but they've been taken down. So clearly it's no longer sealed off, these apartments. The investigations have probably sort of been passed. Well, the next day, it's a Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
George Preston, the murderer, didn't show up for work, didn't come home. I was paying attention who comes in and out of the building. That's what I was paying attention. And he didn't come home Thursday night, which I think of as the definition of funny business. So I called the police right away.
Oh.
That was me. I did that. I called the police to let them know. And you know what the police said?
What?
They said he must have done it because he went missing. And the only people that go on the lam are guilty people.
So his apartment's going to be open soon, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Do you, and I hate to be a bother, but I do want to report on the most up-to-date listings. Do you mind if we just take the photos of those 2 rooms that are going to be open soon? Maybe just walk in and see how spacious it is.
And at this point, one of the doors opens. A doorway, because you're now standing in front of these, right, 2...
305.
305 and 306. 305 and 307. And at the end of the hallway, the door opens up. And that woman you saw earlier, who was coming down and then went back up, she steps out of the hallway and she has changed her clothes. She is wearing a really nice outfit, probably the best outfit she owns. And she's wearing really nice makeup and a really nice hat. She's looking super, super glamorous. And she just walks out, like, really fancy. And then she's like, "Oh, I didn't see you there. Hello. What are you all doing here?" And she just walks over looking really, really nice.
I think Vivian is a little disappointed because she's like, "A lead," and now she's like, "Oh, she's just like me, wants to look her best." I think I still think Vivian's still putting up this show of oh, because a lead is still a lead. Can't cut anything out. "Hi, I'm Vivian Sinclair. I'm just looking at the apartments because I'm doing a listing of all the possible apartments that are highly interesting in this area for new up-and-comers. And so I'm getting some information."
Oh, and then she just kind of she turns, right, giving you her best side. She's like, "I see you have a camera?"
"I do. I was actually going to take some pictures in 305 because I know it's going to be soon to be open because wonderful manager was just giving me the tour."
"Did he tell you about the murder that I know all about? I'm a witness."
"You're a witness now."
"Oh, could you take my photograph for the paper? I mean, I will give you all of the information that I have."
"Well, let's just move you right." And I think she moves right in front of 305 and then just takes the photo.
And she gives this pose that's a very dramatic sort of I want to be a star pose.
Oh, for sure. I think Vivian has definitely seen these people before.
Oh,
and
you have.
It's always good to have them for color.
Mm-hmm.
Color always. And
you have seen this type before. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Just right here, glamorous.
And then she looks a little scared, because then there was a murder. She looks a little scared, and then she just looks a little serious. And I know all about it.
Yeah. So.
And now the landlord's just there, and he's just looking a little bit irritated by this woman, but he's waiting,
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell me all about the murder as we tour 305?
She's like, "Well," and now you can hear little doors start creaking open because there's a little bit of a hubbub in the hallway.
Yeah.
And people, neighbors are poking their head out, to see what's going on, right? These and there's a super old guy who can't be a day under 80, pokes his head out. And another woman pokes her head out, and they're all just sort of trying to see what this, because there was a murder in their building just a few days ago.
You want to know all about it. I understand. Vivian is the definition of.
So like they're curious, right? And he goes, the woman, Violet Blake's like, oh, we should tour the murder scene first.
What's her name?
Violet Blake.
Great.
And the landlord's like, and he goes over to 307 and he unlocks the door and he opens it up and he's like, I don't think you should take pictures of this place though. I think it'll make it really hard to sell.
Oh, okay. Like I'll make sure to get the I got you. Okay. I think Vivian says that. I think she just put her camera down, but if there's something worth breaking this kind of lie, she's gonna take that photo. Like, she's been kicked out of places before.
When he opens the door for you to Myron Fink's apartment, it is a very simple apartment, sort of plain. There's like a bed. There's a dresser. It clearly has been searched through. I mean, I think the thing that you would sort of most notice is that there's a huge blood stain in the middle of the apartment, just staining. Like, I don't mean like a little bit of blood. I mean a disturbingly large amount of blood. And then also blood spatters all over the walls. It is quite disturbing. It does not look like someone got shot here or even stabbed here. You do not know what happened here, but there is a lot of blood all over the carpet.
I think Vivian really quickly, and does not take a photo, but I think on a reporter notebook, she just sketches how large it is. So that it's like a room, and she just does this really quick, like, oh, just to like visually remember.
Like, it's not like, oh man was stabbed here. It was like, I don't know what happened here. It was not good.
This is a story.
and Clarence, the landlord's like, so, you know what? Someone's got to clean this apartment. Who do you think it's gonna be? Me.
Oh, Clarence, that's a tragedy.
Yeah.
So you're saying, I think Vivian, like,
and Violet Blake is kind of just standing there near the doorway, hoping that maybe you'll take pictures of her as well. She's there.
And you're saying this was one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clarence, I think you're gonna have to clean up this place before you list it.
Yeah. And Violet says, I know all about what happened.
Really quickly, before she gets like into the story, I would like to use my evidence collection skill and just look and see if there's anything that's like bright and shiny, or like that's blinking lighted up like in a Nancy Drew game. Like this.
That is a very good use of the evidence collection skill. When you go through, when you're sort of like peeping this place, and as you're doing this, Violet starts talking about her story, right? She's going on about her story as you're looking.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at this, what it looks to you as if the apartment has been completely torn apart by the police. It looks like they have done a very, very thorough job searching this place top to bottom. It doesn't seem to you as if much was lost or left, but I will tell you, sort of knowing sort of thing about your evidence collection, which is kind of like a search roll, but also sort of knowing about evidence. This could be multiple people, but whatever it was violent. Like, I mean,
no, yeah,
it must have been something fairly traumatic to the body for that amount of blood to happen at all. This is not something that is normal. You're not quite certain what, like, maybe some, like, right, like this, like, that is, it's unclear to you what happened, but whatever it was very, very, very violent. And when Clarence said that that even if he'd been there at the time period to open up the door immediately, it wouldn't have saved him. That's the amount of blood there.
No, this murder happened very quickly. This was they're dead.
Yeah.
They're dead.
Yeah. And Violet's like, well, I live to the far end of the hall, nearest the stairs, and I was here at the time, and there was the lights went all mysterious, like there was gonna be a blackout, because the lights started flickering, and we're like, oh no, like, are we gonna lose power? It was terrible. And then it was that George Preston who did it. Oh yes. Definitely.
Why do you think so?
Because he was one of them quiet types that kept to himself and never said anything to anybody. And those kind of types are always serial killers or sex murderers.
You think so?
Oh, definitely. I mean, he never said anything to anyone. So clearly he must have done it. I've seen him multiple times coming in and out of the building. If you wanted to have me in the paper to mention it, I certainly could.
It just poses again.
And there was lights and kind of a strange sound, and then there was a scream. It was Myron.
Oh, of course. What was that sound?
And you hear a voice in the hallway, a woman's voice, a middle-aged woman, and two people have just come into the hallway now, and they're just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And this one, a middle-aged woman, she's probably Puerto Rican. She comes up, she goes, the sound was like, I had a neighbor who used to play the piano, but she wasn't good, and the piano was out of tune, and it wasn't actually piano music. It was like, it didn't sound like piano music, but when you listen to a piano playing and it's out of tune and it just feels off, and then you just want to scream, and then just pull your hair out because you just can't listen to it anymore, and it just grates on you, and this that's what it was like. That's what the sound was like. Like there was just something wrong, and you couldn't stop it from happening.
I think at this point Vivian White's a little bit slower, and I think this apartment, the community that you've built here is very impressive. Do you mind if I get everybody on this floor just to take a photo to show the community that you can build even in the worst tragedy?
And Violet's like, oh, of course. And she steps right in front of the other two who are.
I would just because I think Vivian's this is that line. I think if she could write I think she's just yes. I don't think she wrote I don't think she feels bad about the murder of Myron. I think she's this is what young mothers who are just out of the workplace is gonna love reading about this murder.
And so they and the old man is a little skeptical, but he sort of stands in. They all kind of stand in together.
And then she doesn't take a picture of the blood side. I think she purposely puts them so that you could see the number. 7 on either side of them.
And the woman who seems disturbed, she says, I thought I was falling asleep. the building gets very lonely at night, and my husband works the night shift, and I thought I was falling asleep. But then, once the lights started going in and out, it was like the whole world had gone silent. And I couldn't hear any noises of the city. Just the electric light, but it didn't feel bad, just peaceful. Until I heard that sound. It was like a piano out of tune, and then Mr. Fink's scream. And then everything stopped.
The sound?
Yes.
The lights?
Yes.
What's your name again?
Maria Jimenez. And the old man who's been listening to all of this, he's sort of old with sort of like wispy white hair, and he goes, Nobody told her, huh? And he smells a little bit of alcohol. And he says, I wasn't asleep. And Clarence is like, nah, but you were probably drunk.
This is the 80-year-old gentleman. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're probably drunk. And the 80-year-old gentleman who is quite, he's old, but he's straight, right? Like he's old, but he's like very well preserved, as it were, right?
Yeah.
He's like one of those old guys that has really good bearing and like is like just still very together, although he smells a little bit of alcohol.
Yeah.
And he says, at my age, I don't sleep much. I mean, I feel like I'll be sleeping soon enough, so I was wide awake when it happened. Everything they're telling you, they're not telling you everything. And Clarence, the landlord's like, you don't need to bother her with all of that business. He says, well, you know, we thought we were going to have a blackout. All the lights were flickering. You know, just a few years ago, grocery store set up a refrigeration unit without asking, and it caused an entire blackout for 2 days. They overloaded the electrical grid. Everyone's making new inventions, all this sort of thing, and not knowing if there's enough electricity for everything to go around. Started flickering like that, and I thought we would have a blackout for certain. There should be a law about these sorts of things. Oh. But I'll tell you, after all of the flickering, I went to go find Simpson, who wasn't here, and he looks at the landlord, who just...
Yeah.
When I started going back to my apartment, I started hearing that sound. But then, I saw something. I saw something. It was like floating in the air, in the hallway. Like, have you seen one of those dirigibles? Sort of floating like a blimp.
Oh, yes. Yes, I know what a blimp is.
It was like that. But it was maybe this big. And it was alive.
Like a balloon?
Yes. But it was alive. And it was just floating in the air. And there was more than one of them, and it didn't have eyes, but it looked at me, and it saw me, and so I ran into my apartment, and I shut the door and locked it, and I I sat on my bed, but then the thing just floated through the doorway. And it was like I couldn't breathe, and I just heard that sound. And then a different one came in. Floated through the door. This one looked... It had teeth. And tentacles. And like everybody else in the hallway starts feeling really uncomfortable.
No, this feels like Vivian's like, I think Vivian at this point just closes the book to listen. Can I roll an honesty? Because there's two things that could be happening. One, it's a lie. Two, he believes it. It's still a lie.
Your assess honesty tells you that... He is telling you... He does not seem to be lying to you, but you get the very strong sense he does not want to believe what he's telling you.
Oh, so this is like, if we're all telling our stories, this is my story. So I think deep down he knows it to be true, but he's hiding it?
He would prefer this not to have, there's a little bit like he is doubting his own experience in some kind of a way because he's not quite certain what to think about it. And then he says, when this thing with the teeth started coming towards me, I couldn't breathe. And it was like, I don't know, a soap bubble? I don't know. It was something, and it was coming towards me. And then, all of a sudden, it seemed to be distracted by something. And it turned around, and it floated back out into the hallway. And then I heard Myron across the hall scream. And then the lights came on and the sound stopped. And everything went back to normal. And Violet's like, yes, I saw all of that as well. I saw, well, I didn't see that, but I mean, I was a witness.
I really appreciate everyone being so helpful when in this review of this apartment complex. I especially want to thank how gracious you've been in giving me this understanding of what's going on.
And Violet goes, but wait, I saw the body. That's good. I saw the body. And she feels like she's lost, like,
no, the
like, center stage.
I think she so bad for this apartment manager. And was it safe? Was the body secure? What did it look like?
Violet goes, well, it was torn in half. And this lower half wasn't anywhere to be found. That's how I know that George Preston is a sex killer.
Oh. Do you think he was curious?
I don't know. But what kind of person, except some kind of deranged ripper, some sort of killer, would rip someone in half and then take away the lower half of their body? I saw it. And the old man is like, and the apartment manager's like, Miss Sinclair, please listen. Mr. Williams is a drunkard, and I'm sure he was drunk that time. And Mr. Williams is like, I was not drunk. He's an old man. Don't listen to him. Miss Blake, I feel you all should go back into your apartments. Go.
There's only one way to prove that the body wasn't torn in half. That's to make sure the body isn't in 305.
And Violet seems so excited by this prospect. She's like, ooh.
And I would like to use my bargain skill to be like, oh, to prove that, he isn't a sex fiend. Have to look in 305. And I think like Vivian is like, this is such a good story. I am so much like.
To get into George's apartment with your bargain, it's a good bargain. I would like you to use a push.
Oh, done.
Done?
This is it.
So, audience, my friends, your characters have 4 pushes to start, and they let you get things besides information with your informational skills. So she's using her bargaining, and she wants to use that push token to get access to this room. And using one of those will do it. It will do it.
So do I move the little Y token somewhere else?
Just delete it. Click one and delete. There you go. Done.
Donezoed.
And he thinks about it. And he goes, well, there's no body in there, but if it'll make you feel better. But I want all the rest of these people to clear out. It's just too many people in the hallway.
You've all been very helpful for this article. I appreciate you all.
And Maria, still disturbed from the story she told you, sort of just shakes her head and she goes, maybe it was a dream. And she sort of goes back to her apartment. And August Williams, the older man, says, I wasn't drinking. And he goes back into his apartment. And Violet Blake, in her very stylish hat, says, well, if you want to take... And he goes, no. Clarence is like, nope.
Violet, what number are you?
She's, I'm 301, way down at the end of the hallway.
If I have any other questions, I know who to talk to.
Thank you. And she goes, and as she's going back down the hallway, you're like, she was not near this murder. She might have, like, looky-looed a little bit later.
I got the information I need from her. That is okay.
And as you, as they all leave and the hallway empties out, Clarence is like, well, there's no body in there, but I'll show you to make sure. And he unlocks the door and he opens up this apartment. And the apartment it's plain. It's, when you walk in, Clarence sort of leans up against the wall, he feels a little uncomfortable with all of the hullabaloo. That was a lot of people saying a lot of things that don't sound good for selling apartments. And he just sort of watches you. And when you walk in, you've got the doorway to the closet is open, and all of the clothes are there. Their clothes hung neatly. He doesn't have a lot of clothes, but they're all polite. And when you look, he's got a desk. And the drawers are just a little bit ajar, so it looks to you like the police have been here, but it does not look like they've been as thorough as...
Because he's gone.
Because he's gone. And you imagine that when they went through his stuff, he maybe wasn't a suspect yet, or it wasn't quite certain to you. But it also looks like they forced the lock on his desk drawer. So it looks like they kind of went through, but maybe perhaps not as professional. Maybe somebody else had done it. You see he's got a collection of books from the New York Public Library on his desk. A number of them are electrical engineering books. So a number of books about radio waves, there's some on infrared. So there's a bunch about things like that. There are also a couple of books on the occult, spiritualism. There are 2 books by a man named Hereward Carrington. And he's a local debunker of the occult, I suppose. He says he's anti-spiritualist movement. Sort of. I mean, he's sort of like a Harry Houdini who, would go on and investigate these things and try to debunk them. But the book the two books that are there by him are Your Psychic Powers and How to Develop Them. And the other book is The Psychical Phenomenon of Spiritualism. So it seems like he might maybe believe in psychic stuff, this guy, but also debunks them if they're fake.
Okay.
So there are a number of books about electrical engineering, about radio waves, sound, and then books about spirits, ghosts, and psychic powers. And the place itself, there's no murder here. There's no dead body.
No, I'm not. I think I just wanted to. I think she was curious about the invention. Yeah. And I assume there's a big spot on the desk where there was once something.
Well, there's nothing there at the moment. But you would say, looking at giving it a look, say that this place has not been searched thoroughly, not like Myron's place.
I think the first thing she does is go to the window. Mm-hmm. And I think she's like, is the view something to mention?
The view's not great. It's a little depressing, right?
Is there sunlight?
There is.
I think she mentions how great the sunlight is. I think she's trying to flatter him back.
Oh. Huh. And like the door's shut because he clearly shut the door because he did not want
more words,
more looky-loos, sort of like in this space. And he goes, thanks. If you ever hear about this man, tell him that this man cannot move back in this apartment. I'm gonna rent it back out. I'm not having murderers in this apartment.
There, I will. If I ever meet him, well, first to the police, and then I'll let him know. I think she definitely takes her time here. Mm-hmm. I think she notes down those occult books because they do give a flair for this story.
They do.
I think at this point, her viewpoint is this is a sensation.
Mm-hmm.
Not like, I think she's forgotten, that poor Mrs. Cain.
Poor Sadie.
Sadie Cain is out of the picture. Now she's like, this is such a good piece. Mm-hmm. I think she's gonna open the drawer that had been like just like not like a deep look, but like a peruse, a curious.
So using a little bit of your evidence collection.
Yeah.
When you use your evidence collection on this apartment, like you look in the desk and there's nothing really interesting in there, and you kind of like poke around, and you think, okay, this place has been searched like in a way that you would. And you kind of look at the underside of the desk drawer. Nothing there. Huh. But as you're sort of looking around in this place, and he's not paying attention too much because you're kind of doing this in a leisurely way. And so he's sort of kind of drifting off your landlord. You just sort of check the mattress. And taped to the underside of the mattress is an envelope.
I think I don't. I'm gonna ask him. Oh, can you see the Empire State Building from your view? Can you check for me?
Oh, and he sort of like goes over to the window and he looks out and he's like, no, but you can see the the Brooklyn Naval Yards, and that's gonna be a
right. I think she read like Brooklyn Naval Yard. I think I 100% wanted to distract him as she took that envelope because that is against the law.
I need you for me to make a roll. I need a filch roll from you.
Okay, so I have filch, that's 1 dice. So that means I roll 1 time.
That is correct. And I need you to make let me get the number for you that you need to advance.
Okay.
Is a 4.
That's a high number.
All you need is a 4 to advance.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I knew that was going to happen. Vivian Sinclair gets her story.
With that, this was just a quick text. With that 4, he looks out the window trying to find something that will make a good view. And the minute you do, you just reach under pull that just like rip, and it's actually a pretty big envelope, and you're able to like,
Oh,
yeah, it's actually a pretty big envelope, and you're able to put that in your purse, which your purse is of a pretty good size.
it's got bricks in it.
Right, it's got bricks in it, and by the time he turns back around, it's like there never was an envelope whatsoever. None.
Excellent.
And he goes, well, the naval yard, it's not the best view, but you can see water.
Water is such, a lot of people move in from the Midwest, and water is such a great feature. You underestimate how big water is for those country folk.
Would you do me a favor, Jackie Dash?
Hmm.
Would you change your dye color from green to non-green? So if your name is, if you on roll 20, you've got your name, there's like a little green by your name on the bottom left?
On roll 20?
Yes.
Yes.
And if you click on that green, you should be able to change it to a different color.
Yes. How about...
Something not green.
How's this?
Perfect. And so then when it rolls, people will be able to see it. It was a 4, everyone.
Oh, thanks for letting me know, guys.
It was the chroma key.
Okay. It's like a blank.
Yes. And Methalion will be running for like maybe 3.5 hours, let's say, about. So he turns around and goes, well, do you have what you need?
I have so much for this story.
And you're gonna say something good about our apartment, right?
Yes, actually, I was hoping, and I think as we walk down, I think
but
but
first, no. You go to leave the apartment, and you have this envelope in your purse. You've been so slick. So slick. And he goes to open the door, and you're about ready to talk to him to give him a patter. And you open the door, and in front of you, you see a young woman with lockpicks in her hand. And she's crouched over in front of this door, clearly about to try to break in. And she is, she's got sort of long brown hair in a ponytail. She looks like a teenager, perhaps. And she's wearing a business suit that is nice and too big for her. It does not fit her, right? And so it's like, it's a nice outfit, but it's clearly something that is not hers. And she sees you, she sees him, she has this look of panic, and she runs. And that's when we're going to go on break.
Oh, no!
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's when we're going on break. Oh. Hey, everyone. How you doing? We're gonna go on like a short, like little 10-minute break so that we can all drink some water and stretch our legs. And you in chat also drink water and stretch your legs.
It's good for you.
It's good for you. And when we come back, we will find out what's going on with this young woman who was trying to break in the apartment and what might be happening. Our stream today will probably go until 3:30 or so. Like we'll find like around 3-ish, we'll be looking for a good stopping point. So probably around 3:30. And then next week we will finish up the adventure.
Till the end.
But thank you for being here so far. It's been really wonderful. I'm so excited.
It's very good.
How are you doing over there, Jackie Dash?
Well, I think Vivian is very excited about like, all right, let's get this like framed for murder piece. And now it's like, this is gonna go great. Like, it's just like I have 6 different stories, and like the supernatural comes in, and she's got a person who she can go to get information on the supernatural. So this is gonna be good.
Oh, it's gonna be great. All right, everybody. So it's 1:45. Let's be back here at 1:55, and I will see you all shortly. Take care of yourself, and we'll be right back, everybody. And welcome back to the second half of the first episode of Cthulhu Confidential Fatal Frequencies. I am Trooper SJP, and I am jamming today the amazing gumshoe system Cthulhu Confidential, which this is the book right here. If you see, check that out, right? And it comes with 3 different investigators, 3 different adventures. It's very exciting. I recommend it. This is what we're running. We've been introduced to our heroine, Vivian Sinclair, Intrepid reporter, who is played by none other than Jackie Dash. Which is sad, but now we're here together. And we've also changed the dice color so it will be seen.
We did it.
Okay, sorry. You were muted. You are no longer muted. Hey, everybody.
Oh, good.
So I muted you during the break so that people would not hear you chatting during break. Then I unmuted you, but you are back.
Good. As long as they can hear me during the story, everything's good. Thank you. Thank you.
What is that bell for?
Oh, it's for if I spell my name.
How would you do that?
Well, simply, I'm Jackie Dash. JAKIDASH. It's very fun. I think if you ever need to remember something, make a jingle about it.
That's what jingles are for.
That's what they're for.
To sell you names.
To sell you things.
To sell you things. We've had a couple of follows while we were away, and we are, I think, at 497. I think we are 3 away from 500. And once we get 500 followers, I will play a visual novel and then read it in Pig Latin.
That's amazing. You know which one yet?
No, I want to go on itch.io and find like a really good one that will be really emotional and serious.
So I started reading one and I cannot remember the name of it, but the plot is that you are a girl that if anyone touches you, they die because you're poisonous, and you have to date people in literature. So you got to date Frankenstein the scientist, the one who goes in the 50,000 under the sea. So like that commander. And then also I think the great thief Lupin, but not the anime one, the real one. So you date important people from history, remembering they can't touch you because you're made of poison.
What is the name of this visual novel?
We'll have to look it up. It's found. It was on Vita for a little bit, and they just released the Christmas one, also on Vita.
Is it available on Mac?
Ooh. I'll have to, but I'm gonna let you know. There's a lot of reading. There's a lot of very dramatic and sad reading.
Thank you for those bits, Volpes, by the way. I appreciate it. When we get to the end, I will sing the earwig in the anime song for you all because that is necessary. So, in the first half of our episode, Vivian Sinclair was approached by Sadie Cain, a young woman whose fiance, George Preston, has gone missing. George Preston is an electrical repairman who has an invention that he's working on that will change the world. But Wednesday night, his neighbor, Myron Fink, was murdered. And the very next day, George went missing. And the police think that George is the murderer. And Sadie said, please come and please prove that my fiance didn't murder anyone, and also please find him, like, because he is missing. And our Vivian, who is who cares a lot about people, is not in any way cold or cynical.
No, very, very caring, very emotional, very empathetic.
Very empathetic. Bluffed her way into George's apartment building and has learned stories from the tenants, went into Myron's apartment, and it looks a mess of blood everywhere. Made it into George's apartment, found a large manila envelope taped to the underside of the mattress that was missed by the police. And on the way out, opens the door, and there's a young woman who was trying to lockpick her way into this apartment, sees them, and bolts down the hallway to escape. What would you like to do?
I'm on the 3rd floor.
Mm-hmm. She is currently trying to escape the 3rd floor.
Wait, is the staircase near that one lady's room?
It
Which
is.
side of it is?
Yeah.
It's like I gotta figure that name, because that would be amazing.
Vivian.
Vivian. I think it's not Violet Blake.
Violet, yes.
Okay. I think I yell, Violet Blake. We need some more questions. And I think as she does that, she starts like running after her.
This would be an athletics roll, my friend.
That's fair. You know, Vivian did not do well at running. But I have 1 dice, so let's see how it goes.
So here's the thing. Your advance would normally be a 6.
Ooh.
But because of your calling out for Violet, who you know is by the door, your advance will be a 5.
Because she's gonna slow it down.
And yes, and also you have, just in case, you have the option for an extra problem, for an extra die, if you want.
Can I choose that after I do the first
Yes, you may.
one? Okay.
Oh! So, I want you to tell me how you are able to catch up with this young lady so easily, and how, because that's a 5, not a 6, how Violet's help gets you there.
So I think, for me, I think Violet is next to the staircase now. And I think her door opens in such a way where it actually opens away from the staircase. So it literally creates a wall between the person who's running and the stairs. So I think that happened. So she, maybe the runner looked back and to see, why are you yelling for Violet? And then as that happens, just slams into the door.
And Violet, opens the door and emerges dramatically because she thought that there might be more questions for her.
Oh, yeah, no.
And immediately this young woman just careens into the store. Very safe, but doors have to open outwards, right, for fire purposes. Careens into the store, bounces off, falls right on her bum. And Violet's sort of shocked about what's happening.
Right, because she didn't expect to see someone coming out of a door.
No. And you pop in, you just trot over there without much of a problem. And this young woman is looking a bit freaked out.
Okay.
And she scrambles to her feet.
Yeah. Vivian lies.
She lies a lot, I think.
Sorry. I'm so glad you're here. This is my assistant, Clementine. And Clementine she was just testing her abilities. She knew I was in the other room, right, Clementine? Because we wouldn't want to call the cops.
Now, Clarence, the landlord, is looking suspicious for a moment at this young woman. And Violet is looking also a little bit surprised. And the young woman, looking nervous, looking at the people in the room, and then doors start peeping open a little bit in the hallway because people here are a little bit nosy, the neighbors.
Oh, yes. Well, a murder just happened.
A murder just happened, so they're all a little bit on edge. And she just goes...
Right. So, thank you so much for your help, Clarence. This has been an amazing opportunity. You have my card. You should expect some positive things in the paper about your apartment complex. I'm gonna take Clementine, and we're just gonna grab a cup of Joe before it gets too dark out.
And he goes, well, All right. Nice to meet you, and I hope to see a really nice story about the wondrousness of this building in your paper soon.
Soon. Me too. So I think Vivian does the like arm hooking of Clementine, like kind of friendly, but also like a little bit rough as they go down the stairs.
And Clarence like just sort of walks, like he actually finishes locking up, so you're walking out without supervision.
Oh yeah, no,
because he has to finish locking up the building.
We also are writing a paper, and there was a murder, and also I have a camera. Like, I understand.
And you get out of the building onto the street, and Clementine, you see that she wants to run, but you have her arm linked. And as you're walking her out, friendly like, you also notice that she's a little wobbly on the heels that she's wearing. They're not like huge heels; they're sort of like business heels. But she's not a practiced heel walker, so she's a little wobbly on them. This is like, and she does not know what is happening, is the best way I would put it.
I think out of the side of her mouth, she's like, we need to walk for 2 blocks. Then I'm taking you to food, and we're going to figure this out. Because I think you know something that I need to know. And if you don't come with me, I'll just yell, and then they'll be arrested.
I have a sense what skill you might take at the end of this adventure if you survive. That's all.
Is this a bargain?
No, I feel like there's an intimidation skill that you're going to want for this character, is what I'm feeling. Next time, those are just my feelings.
Yeah, that's fine.
She just kind of goes, and you.
Excellent.
You walk her down, and you scoped out the place. You know, a bit of a diner down 2 blocks down.
I think Vivian sits down, and I think she puts I think she keeps the back of Vivian to the door.
Yeah.
No, I think she puts her back to the door so that Vivian will have to run, or the little one Clementine will have to run fast.
Yep.
Sits down, orders 2 cups of coffee, just like doesn't pretends up the nose that they're friends.
And she's just sort of quiet and nervous, like she got caught and she's in trouble. And you think she's maybe 17-ish.
All right, Clementine, what's the scoop? What's going on?
I just wanted to get into Mr. Preston's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you?
Oh. My questions first. Why?
And she sees the nice camera and she's like, probably reporter.
Yeah. No, I mean, she's smart.
Yeah.
She knows it. Why his apartment?
I was looking for his machine, his miracle machine.
Well, tell me about it. Maybe I saw it.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's really important that I get it.
Why?
Do you have any idea what that machine will do?
I think you're going to tell me.
It will let ordinary people see spirits of their lost loved ones. I mean, there are normal people who can see it. Well, not normal people. I mean, there are people who can see spirits and talk to them. You know, like Madame Isis, who's wonderful. But this would let anyone see the spirits of the dead. And have you ever heard how some people can hear radio waves in their fillings and their teeth?
Yeah.
Well, spirits are like radio waves. They're everywhere, all around us, all the time. And some people, mediums, they can tell when there are spirits around, but regular people, they can't. But Mr. Preston's machine will let you see the spirits around you and talk to them. That's what he said it would do, at least.
How do you know him?
Oh, I work for...
Is it Madam Isis?
How did you know?
I got a sense of my own.
Yes, I work for Madam Isis, and I... Mr. Preston came by, and he spoke to Madam Isis about his machine that he was building. It hadn't been finished yet, but he said that it was almost done, and that whether or not she'd be interested in buying it. And he interviewed her and came to some of the communions, and saw that she was the real deal and not a phony psychic or anything, that she was a real medium. And then since he trusted her and he realized that she was real and not phony, he offered this machine to her if once it got finished, and she was interested, and she said that she would buy it from him, and we were really excited, and he made an appointment to meet with us on Thursday, which...
Was he there?
No, he never came to the appointment. And so then we waited. Maybe he would show up again on Friday, and he didn't show up on Friday. So I went to his work on Saturday, and they hadn't seen him, and they were actually very rude to me. They just treated me like a kid, and they wouldn't tell me where he went. And I just think that somebody stole his machine.
Or he stole his machine. We don't know what his machine can do. What? Did you see it work?
No.
Why do you have faith in this?
Well, because it would be amazing if it would work, right? We could talk to our dead loved ones. Anyone that we've lost, we could talk to them again.
Who are you?
My name is Pearl LeBlanc, and I'm Madam Isis's secretary, personal assistant, sort of.
Very often, do personal assistants need to break into apartments?
No, that was my idea, though. It was only my idea. No one else put me up to it in any way. It's just if we could find that machine, or at least the plans for the machine, then we could change so much, and we could...
You're just a kid. Shame you have to go to prison.
What? What? No, but... I don't... What? What? I didn't... But
you were. And that's very bad. However, if you can give me an appointment with Madam Isis, I suppose I could forget about all this.
No, I could do that. If you wouldn't tell her about this?
A good reporter knows how to keep secrets.
Okay. I can make an appointment. She when would you like to meet her?
It's Wednesday, right?
Today is Monday.
Oh, okay.
Last Wednesday was the murder.
Thanks. And I'm assuming it's like probably mid-afternoon now.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we make a 1 o'clock? Let's get some after lunch. I'll see. I'd like to see this Madam Isis.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. It's at the Temple of Nephthys. That's in Brooklyn Heights.
Okay.
And I will make an appointment for you. And she'll see you, and she's so wonderful.
Mm-hmm. I think she cannot even lie. Just don't go trying to break into people's apartments. You're smarter than that.
It's just that machine's so important.
So is you not going to jail. Can't do anything in jail.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can I have your card?
Oh yeah. And I think she passes the. You know what? She doesn't pass the card. I think she writes on a piece of paper the number to her direct dial of her desk, which I don't know if that's possible.
Yep.
And I think she gives the name. This is now going to be a fake name, so I got to come up with it. Luis. Um, Charleston.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I will make the appointment for you.
Great. 1:00 tomorrow.
1:00 tomorrow. And you won't tell anyone?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah. All right. Do you want to have this cup of coffee or did you want to run out?
And she takes like a sip and then she makes that face like it's too bitter for her.
Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow.
And then she rushes out, like hobbling, like teetering a little bit on the way out as you know that you have freaked out a 17-year-old to get what you want. And as chat notes, ice cold. Ice damn cold.
All right. So I think she writes in her little like she probably has an appointment book in her purse, and she just writes like 1:00. Temple of
Nephthys.
I think she now has enough information to try to meet her friend, Estelle. So Estelle, I assume, works afternoons. That seems right to me, right?
Yes, when she's working. She has a job. She works at her father's architectural firm as a draftswoman. But it is her father's firm, and she often likes to not be at work if she can get away with it. She's very good at draftsperson, but she really prefers doing other things.
I get that. I think she's not gonna look at the no, her curiosity is gonna get better of her. Can I look around and see if there's anyone shady? Did anyone follow me into this place?
You have got some skills in that sense. Looking around, it does not feel to you as if anybody shady has followed you. When you walked in, you looked like a regular sort of couple of gal pals just walking in, and so nobody seemed to be noticing you too much. And people seem to, like, it's the mid-afternoon.
Yeah.
People have their business.
I'm gonna look in my purse and see what's in that envelope.
Inside of this envelope is...
I think I'm gonna do one of those like peeks first before I pull it all out of like, can I get a glimpse?
Yeah. There are schematics for some sort of machine. It is complicated looking. It is all it's all handwritten. With sort of diagrams and notes, and it is a lot of electrical engineering. But these seem to be schematics for some kind of machine.
Okay.
That were hidden.
Which seems like a problem. Because I don't know anybody, but I also don't feel comfortable trying to talk to somebody with electronics. So I think I'm gonna...
Well, you do know, you have a professor friend of yours.
Yeah, but she's more into physics and less into electrical engineering.
But she is an intellectual who probably could tell you something about it.
I think I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna be like, oh no. Oh no. I think I'm gonna go with the occult side first, because you know what's way more snazzier in a paper? Cult is in.
A cult is in. But your professor friend Nettie, she could probably take a look at this and give you some kind of help, Nettie Rice.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna call Estelle. I have a lot of information. Like I have those books that were written by that gentleman who
Hereward Carrington.
Yep, him. Who's August? Okay. And then I also have that weird floating heads. If I can get a name of those, if those are a thing, that would be great. And then I think that's where I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna probably make a call. Have a good sandwich. Have like a pastrami grilled with some cheese on it. No, sorry, more of the brand tuna melt.
Tuna melt, yes. You call up the Abrams Architectural Firm, and you call up Estelle's office, and she's like, "Estelle Abrams, may I help you?"
I am actually calling for Stella Abrams.
Oh, Viv,
You know it.
are you giving me an excuse to leave the office early?
Only if you want to hear about a homicide where half the body is missing.
One moment. Dad, I have to go to a meeting. I'll be back in work tomorrow. My place or a diner? Where do you want to meet?
I think you're gonna have to do some research. So I think the quieter place. I think your place is gonna be best.
Perfect. I will see you there in an hour.
Great. That's a little bit of a hobunk town. So
She hangs up with so happy to leave work now and not later.
I think the next thing I do is I call, and I want to leave a message with my editor's secretary. Just being like, out on a scoop. I got a murder. And I also I don't know if there's any little interns, but if they can see if this murder has been reported.
The murder has not yet been reported.
Great. I'm gonna say I got a scoop on this. It's got a little bit of the occult. I'm gonna need a front page.
The secretary's like, well, aren't you very, very ambitious? I'll let the editor know.
You got to be ambitious in this world. Otherwise, you'll stay a secretary. Pachunk!
Viv, she's the best. She's the best.
Here's the problem. I don't think that message is getting to that editor now.
Oh, you head over in Manhattan to Stella's place. And when you arrive, it's been long enough. She got there earlier before you. She was able to change out of her work clothes. And she's wearing a nice robe, with little stars on it. And she's got her dangly earrings. She's changed into her sort of, I'm an occultist and also a socialite sort of outfit. And
this is great for parties.
So I want you to tell me, how do you know Stella?
I think Stella was my best friend's old best friend. So one of those where you start hanging out with them when you have those people in between.
Yeah.
And then when she died, there's some mourning process and you go out for coffee, and I don't think Vivian believes in an after. I think maybe she does. Maybe she's used to be Catholic and doesn't go to church anymore. But I think she does. She thinks the occult's a lot of unnecessary, but it's kind of where you get, some people are into Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Really into Harry Potter. I think she's all right, the occult's kind of fun sometimes.
Yeah. And when she opens the door for you, she has got her fan because she likes that sort of a thing. And she has a glass of bourbon, which she just hands you. Come in. I want to hear about homicide.
Well, I want to hear first. Just takes a sip and then puts it on the edge of the table. There's probably a ring where she usually leaves it. I don't know if Stella does coasters.
Stella has coasters, and they're all sort of artsy craftsy, but because she has money. Her apartment is nice. She has money, but she has all of these artsy craftsy things around. And in the middle of the apartment, there is this large block of plaster in a big square that she has that have got drill holes in it, because she kind of goes through various phases, different kind of art phases, and right now she's in sort of a sculptory phase.
We have money, you can have hobbies.
This is true. And so she's creating art right now in her off time.
I think she's unfazed, but she's not curious enough, because this is the third hobby in a row to ask questions.
And it's often some sort of art, but you never know what it's going to be. Sometimes she's painting. Now she's doing kind of plaster drilling things. It's a little unclear. But she's got like a chisel and a hammer. And whatever it is, it's not going to be a human being. You don't know what it's going to be. But
It's something.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want the long story or do you want just the curious bits?
Tell me the curious bits. And also, would you be up to going to see a show on Broadway Friday night?
Well, Friday, I should have this article written. So that'll be great.
I think there's a new show, and there should be some fun, I think. Also, I think we'll have a little party afterwards.
All right. I'm down. This screams to be written, and I've got it.
You always work so much.
You know what, though? The stories grabbed me. I think she keeps like that, like she was going to make a comment and then pulls it back. Have you heard of the Temple of Nethys?
Oh, the Temple of Nethys. I've been there a few times.
Is Madame Isis one to take company, or is she a little bit private?
So she does this thing starting at 8 o'clock every night, her communions. I was very excited to go because she's got this whole Egyptian thing going on, which I thought would be a little exciting. But it seemed like mostly just normal seances. She does a thing in the beginning about, she reads from the Book of the Dead,
Oh.
You get the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which I thought was going to be very exciting, but in the end it was just mostly just regular seances. I was hoping for something a little bit more exciting. I mean, do you know the story of Set and Osiris?
No. Tell me.
Well, Set and Osiris, brothers and bitter and jealous and whatnot. Anyway, Set cuts up Osiris into like 14 little pieces and spreads them throughout Egypt across the Nile. Isis, who is Osiris's sister wife, is beyond herself, very sad. So she decides to go and try to find all the pieces of Osiris. And she gets Nephthys, who is Set's sister consort, to help because they're best friends. And Nephthys is like a hawk goddess and flies around the Nile, and they find all the pieces, but they find all the pieces but one.
Is it the important one?
Yes. I know. This is so amazing. So anyway, that's the story. I thought it was so amusing. I thought it'd be some kind of amusement at this place. But can I tell you, Madame Isis is just no fun at all.
Well, I don't know if you want this getting around or not, but Madame Isis was looking for a new way to get into seances.
Really?
Have you heard of electrically engineering a way to see the spirits?
Oh, that doesn't make any sense at all. The spirits are like, they're beyond science.
Yes, but I believe, she thinks someone can.
Wow.
Now he's gone missing.
Really?
Yes, it's quite peculiar, but I'm curious because some strange happenings happened right next door to him, which makes me believe something of the occult is happening. Vivian does not actually believe anything of the occult is happening, but definitely wants an insider.
And also it's good for the story.
Yeah. So somebody close to death, 80-year-old.
Oh, people who are old are very close to the spirit world.
Right. They saw some interesting creatures that I'm hoping you can give me a name to. Yes, I thought it was very odd too.
Ghosts?
They said they had teeth.
Oh.
Yeah, they floated in the air like balloons. They could go through doorways, and then they disappeared, and a moment later, someone screams, and their lower half is missing.
Well, Darling, this does not sound like any sort of regular ghost. When I think about ghosts, they don't normally, like, sometimes they might knock or push things around because, you know, sometimes spirits can interact with our material world. Oh, well, I would say not any sort of regular ghost or apparition did that, if someone was ripped in half. Are you sure it wasn't, well, a regular person maybe did that?
There are some thoughts that it could be a regular person, but I'm trying to get all my directions, and it did seem something of the occult was happening because Madame Isis was involved. There was lights were flickering, and there were some weird noises happening. Which
Well, that does sound like the spirit world.
Yes. So I hope that with your incredible knowledge, you could point me in the direction of someone to talk to.
Well, let me think. Well, what I would say is, first off, spirits often cause lights to dim and flicker. It's something about the occult. The spirits are antithetical to science, and they might, you know, let things flicker like that. Also, I might say, strange noises are very often accompanied by the spirit realm. But the undead don't tend to rip people in half. Darling, I would say perhaps demons of some sort. Although, were they doing some sort of ritual? Did you see evidence of a ritual? Perhaps candles or maybe chalk markings on the ground?
I don't know if I'm allowed to roll to rethink, but I'm definitely trying. I didn't see it in my evidence collection, did I?
No. There were no, from what you saw in there were no signs of the occult at all. Like,
no,
you didn't notice anything like that.
The only thing that seemed peculiar is across the apartment, there were some books on the occult. And I just named those. I list those like titles about psychic and...
Oh. Well, I know Hereward Carrington. He has an institute. The Psychical Institute, I think, or the American Psychical Institute. He's one of those debunkers that tries to prove that the spirit realm is not true. Although he did get in trouble a few years ago because he seems to actually believe, what was her name? There was a woman, Eileen something or other, who claimed to be a psychic, and a bunch of Scientific American put together a panel of debunkers to try to disprove her psychic powers, and he was the only one that said that she might actually have psychic powers. So he does seem to be open to the idea, unlike some of the others who are just so dismissive.
Well, you do know there's something around us.
Of course.
Vivian does not believe that.
But she knows that Stella does. Well, you know, I remember once I was traveling. I was up in New England, and I was in a house, and I heard the strangest creaking and shrieks all night. Definitely spirits. But I wasn't really that impressed with Madame Isis. She was all right. I tend to think that she's somewhat...
Would you consider her low class or no skill?
I would say lacking in the skill department. I don't think she's very good.
That would make sense why she's looking for this mechanical thing that would create spirits.
Well, I don't think that one can find spirits through mechanics, so I'm skeptical of that. I think that you must really just open up your mind if you want to find spirits.
Well, luckily for the two of us, your mind is open enough.
Yes. You know, I think you should finish up with this murder thing and early. Then maybe we could go out dancing or something. I'm just so tired of working all the time.
Here's the thing. If you work harder, the fun part is twice as good.
Maybe. Darling, be swift with this. Don't... sometimes you get into trouble not dropping things. You're going to be safe, aren't you?
Oh, of course. Like, shifts the person, the brick just hits the chair. I'm always safe.
Well then, all right. I'm going to get back to my new sculpture. I like to call this one Streets of New York.
Oh, how je ne sais quoi.
Yes, isn't it? Do you think I should paint it, or do you think I should just leave it plaster white after I finish?
I think Vivian has no idea. I think it requires a second look, and I think browns are in right now.
Browns. I like it. And she puts away her fan and she picks up a chisel and a hammer and she sort of wanders over to this plaster that just looks like a big block that does it with some holes in it.
I think she finishes off that vermin and heads out and is like, well, okay. I think she's kind of at this point where she has a lot of ways to go.
Yeah.
Not in my Says Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
She's got Howard Carrington, who might be able to answer.
Herworth. It's the most British name ever. Herworth Carrington.
Herworth. Okay. And there's, I don't think she wants to follow up with the job, which I think she's more interested in the murder than the gentleman who's missing. Just because that's more tantalizing.
Which means you do have police contacts that could help you with that part as well.
Oh yeah, I mean I have when it says detective, it means not a PI but a real detective.
Yes, a police detective.
All right. I think what I'm gonna try to do then, I think she will make an appointment with Detective O'Connor. I think she finds another payphone. I think she has on her contact book and she makes a call. So I think it's just like leaning against the payphone. I think they have payphones. Oh
yeah, totally. That's how that goes.
Yeah.
Now, Detective O'Connor has been on the force for a while. You first sort of, one of the ways that you know him is that he actually testified against corruption in the city and in the police force.
Which is a pretty big deal in this place.
Which is a pretty big deal. And because there was a big scandal that happened just a couple of years ago, where there was a big commission to sort of investigate police corruption. And it turned out that the police would regularly frame poor people.
And that was one of my articles.
And that was one of your articles. And they would do things like, they would get fake testimony and fake evidence. And in order to get out of it, to get the charges dropped, you'd have to pay them money. And so they were just basically extorting people for money. And this sort of came out, and O'Connor testified about the practices. And so he's not the most popular person in the police force. You are also not the most popular person in the police force because you'd report on it.
Why do you think I'm calling in and not coming in?
And you give the call, and he answers, right? Pardon me. Microphone. And he answers, Detective O'Connor here.
O'Connor, when do you get off shift? When does your call end?
Vivian Sinclair. Are you calling for business or pleasure?
Sometimes it mixes up together.
So it's business. All right. Is it important?
Yeah. I mean, somebody's body did get ripped in half, but I think they're dead, so.
Oh. Are you snooping around that one?
I gotta. Nobody's reporting on it yet, so seems like a big one.
All right.
And I got a ghost story for you.
A ghost story? Well, all right. Do you know that diner? It's like 3 blocks from the police station.
I do.
You know the one that has the really good meatloaf sandwiches?
I think you know that one, but I think I can figure it out.
All right. Well, let's meet there. I can meet. It's It's about 4-ish. Oh, but at this point in time, it's probably getting to closing time. I get off work in about 15, so we could
All
meet.
right. You find a booth. I'll meet you there.
All right. You might want to stay away from this one though, but we'll talk about it when we get to the diner.
I can't wait. I think Vivian and O'Connor probably almost had a fling at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they both like it was close, but they both chose career.
They did. And did this fling happen during the tension and stress of that big corruption scandal?
I bet it did.
Mm-hmm.
I bet they had a lot of late nights where they were just trying to write this report.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think so too. I agree. So you make your way down to this diner. And when you get there, Joseph O'Connor is waiting for you. And he is, about your age, right? So he's in his late 20s, not married yet. Also, spend a little bit too much time in the career. He's seen a lot of stuff. He's handsome. He's got, he's a police officer. He's sort of fit. He's got like a bit of a scar on his cheek from life in the business.
Yeah.
And when he sees you, he smiles, and there is sitting in front of you already waiting for you this cup of coffee with as much cream and sugar as you like, because he knows exactly how you like your coffee.
I think probably on the transport over here, I think she fixed up her makeup. I think she made sure she's her best. And then she goes in, and Joseph.
Vivian.
Always a pleasure.
Always. How have you been?
If I have to report on a shoe sale one more time, I swear there's going to be an accident of my typewriter outside the window.
Look, I'm going to tell you something, Vivian. I've said this before. Your stories are important to you. I want you to stay safe, but get the story.
You know it. Which brings me to questioning you. So I've done some understanding, and I just want you to tell me that Myron's death was not because of ghosts. I just need you to tell me that.
Oh, no, I don't think so. Well, I don't... Look, I'll tell you. It's not my jurisdiction, right? Not my precinct.
No, and you'll all be off the record, of course.
I'm also pretty glad it's not my precinct. Yet one talks, and I've heard about it, what's been going on. It's not good. It's not good at all. So what I heard, I looked into it a little bit on my way over. I knew which case you were talking about. First thing was interesting was that it wasn't originally a murder call at all. It was sound disturbance and electrical disturbance. It was sort of problems with electricity and strange sounds generally was the first thing that was heard, was reported in. There was a couple of phone calls about it. And there've been a number of sort of disturbances about sort of electrical problems in the area before, actually.
More than just that building.
In that neighborhood in general, I think sometimes it happens. That building certainly, but I don't know all the details. Again, it's not my precinct, but I've heard that there was more than one sort of complaint about the electrical grid problems there. So the thing is, the beat cop comes in to respond to these calls, but then some people said they heard a scream, some people said they didn't hear a scream, it was just strange noises, so it was a little bit unclear. Beat cop didn't break the door, and they waited for the landlord to open the door for them. But I'll tell you, the body's still in the morgue in Bellevue, and One of the police officers who saw it hasn't slept since, just been drinking coffee, staying awake, not wanting to sleep. And other police officers in the case, they're drinking harder than normal. So it seems like it's a lot of stress on everybody. Whatever it was, I heard the body looks terrible. I was talking to the coroner. He said it was awful. I think they just want to wrap up this case as quickly as possible.
Do you think that's why they chose a man and they're sticking to that story?
Well, it's Preston fellow, right? The one that went missing. That's
Yeah. Words, right?
Yeah, look. James McAdams is the police officer in charge, right? And he's a hardliner. He does things by the book. He's generally fair.
That's a surprise and also warranted.
I don't think he's corrupt or anything like that, but I will tell you what. He clearly wants to close this case fast. My understanding is they had no leads at all. Like, no leads, no motive, no nothing in the beginning until this Preston fellow goes missing. He goes missing, that makes him a good suspect, and I think it's the best they got. And I think they're going to stick with it.
But if we find counter evidence, do you think they'll drop it, even if they don't find him?
If there's counter evidence, I think they'll drop it. If there's no evidence, Preston's in a world of hurt. If they can't find him, especially. Well, even if they can. But if the man has no alibi, and my understanding is that he was in the building at the time, so doesn't look good for him.
No. I don't know if he's innocent or not, but it's pretty strange that most people who are innocent or guilty kind of stay and fight it.
Unless he did and he knows it, and then he has to run. It's not good. It's not good for that fellow. But, McAdams, if there were evidence on something else, McAdams would listen.
Well, that means a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's a good fellow, as you use, as the words you say.
I will say this, though. I don't know. Nobody's come to claim the body yet. It's still in Bellevue, and I don't know if this Fink has got next of kin or anything. I don't know.
It'd be a shame if I didn't go see it.
Might be a shame if you did go see it.
Either way, if it's there, I've got to see it.
Vivian, I hear it's pretty gruesome. Do you have to?
Well, what else am I going to do with a Thursday night? Unless... Are you free Thursday?
I am free Thursday. Tomorrow night? Oh, Thursday. It's a couple of days. Yeah, I'm free.
All right.
Do you really want to see the body?
I'm going to, but then I'll see you on Thursday.
Okay, Vivian, here's what. I'll put in a good word with the coroner so you can see the body.
Mm-hmm.
But don't steal anything while you're there and get me in trouble.
Okay.
And Thursday night, I was thinking there's a nice restaurant we used to go to when we were working on the Seton corruption case.
Is that bistro still open?
It is still open. I haven't been there in a while.
They still do jazz on Thursdays?
They still do jazz on Thursdays.
I'll see you there.
8 o'clock?
Yeah. That'd be wonderful.
Good luck on this story, and
after talking to you, I think I'll need it.
Yeah. Hey, look, if this guy George didn't do it, you're gonna need some good evidence because nobody likes an unsolved murder.
Oh, including me. I don't want to report anything that creates a stir throughout all of New York.
The Vivian I know always causes a stir.
Oh, that's just because you like me.
Maybe.
I'll keep you in the loop. I won't do anything illegal. Especially now that you're giving me a good in.
I'll make the phone call.
All right.
You'll be able to see the body.
I'll make my way there. Well, after meal.
After the meal. Would you like the meatloaf sandwich?
I think so.
And he orders 2 meatloaf sandwiches, and they come in with fries on the side, sort of a nice sort of thin slice of meatloaf between like rye bread, and he gets you like a root beer, right, for both of you.
I think they have a lovely conversation that only is a little like I don't think she brings up this story anymore.
And he will bring up, it's this kind of a funny thing where you don't want to talk about work, and so like he like almost brings up cop stuff, but then he like moves off of that. Like there's like your works sort of linger on the edges.
Like you always tell a story about somebody you work with at work, but then you stop before it gets into work, and it's just that it's a weird dance. Yes,
and he says to you, that reporter fellow of yours, that Larry Ames, the one you did that story with, the last one.
Yeah.
I saw him over at City Hall on the beat. Pretty handsome fellow.
Yeah. He's young.
It's too young.
I was much younger when we started, but
that's what I was thinking.
I don't think he's learned yet. I don't think he's got his foot slammed in the door, so to speak.
Good to know. There's a good singer there on Thursday.
Oh yeah?
At the bistro.
I can't wait.
I'll make sure I wear my dancing shoes.
I'll compliment it.
And having made sure that Larry was not a threat, your conversation continues on.
I think Vivian understood that, and I definitely think Larry and her were an item for like maybe a couple months.
Yeah.
Like I don't think she mentions that. I think they were though.
And of course, I think the thing about Larry is that he has a terrific crush on you still.
I think yes. I think she kind of hates him for it. I think she's like me for my abilities.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah. But because he's quite young, and he's early 20s, and he still has this terrific. He's a little bit of a puppy dog, and he's not as good as you are.
No, but I think he will go far.
Yeah.
Like I think Vivian knows deep down that like he will, because he is young.
Yeah.
Got good mentors.
Yeah.
He is a man. Like
he will do well.
Yeah.
And I imagine you make it to the morgue.
Yeah, I think I mean we're getting towards late-ish in the night. I think this might be one of the last things that she does tonight. Yeah. She's got that, lots of appointments tomorrow.
Yes, she does.
And I think she shows her press badge, which she has. I think she goes to the morgue. She does all the paperwork.
And this is at the Bellevue Hospital, and this is a huge, one of the major hospitals in New York, on East 29th Street. And over 100,000 patients come through this hospital every day. Like, it is the massive place. And the morgue is in the basement, which helps keep the bodies cool. And they check your press badge. They make sure that your name is on the list before you can see the body. And you make it your way down to this sort of basement floor. And it's cold. And you're going to see Phil Lentz, who is the coroner. And He's waiting for you outside, right, of the actual sort of viewing area. And when you see him, it's late, and he's still there on the night shift. And he has in his hand this roast beef sandwich. And it's like red and a little bloody, and it's got like some sad lettuce hanging off the side. And he's there, and he sees you, and he's got a bit of a paunch, right? He's in his like 40s, and he's got a dad bod, or just really he just has a middle-aged bod. And he sees you, and he's like, takes this big bite of this sandwich. You can kind of hear the meat like just crunching. Yes. And he's got like, you know, this cigarette dangling out of his mouth, and he's like eating and smoking, and he goes, Sinclair.
Lance.
Saw your name on the list to come in. It was nice. You want some?
I actually just had one. I just had you know that diner near the precinct? Still got a meatloaf sandwich. Gotta try it. Next time you're doing paperwork, go check it out.
Come on in.
All right.
And he walks you in, and the first thing you come into...
I pull my jacket tighter.
is the dissection room. It's this whole open area when there are all of these tables, and you see all these like young interns, and there are these bodies that are being dissected. So they're all in sort of states of openness. And the thing that really strikes you as you walk inside is the smell. It's this sweet smell of formaldehyde that's like covering up the smell of death. And there are all these medical students there, and they're just all working. And it's just, and like, this is like a sort of a massive area, because there are a lot of bodies that go through a city like New York with its size. And there are all people who are victims of accidents and victims of murder, and there are all these sort of instruments on the table, and people are working, and he just sort of like walks you through this room, and you have been here before. This is not like you haven't seen this place, and the whole room is made of stone, and you've got the sound of industrial refrigeration. It's already a little bit cold, but they've got these industrial refrigerators trying to keep everything cool because you do not want rotting bodies and hundreds of them, and that's not what you want. But you can still smell, right, the odor of death. And he hands you a handkerchief.
Thank goodness.
And the handkerchief is perfumed, so you can just put it over your nose and you don't have to smell that smell. And he walks you into what looks sort of like a catacomb, but there are all of these bunks, and on each bunk there's a body that's covered in a sheet. It's like a warehouse for dead bodies. And he sort of looks around, and he starts checking tags, and then he sees the body he's looking for up fairly high up, and he goes, huh? Johnson. And this young black man in a lab coat comes in, clearly in his early 20s, and he goes, Johnson, that body on that table, please. And also get the file for me. And Johnson was clearly a medical student. It's like, oh, yes, sir. And he like goes up there and he gets on this like wide footstool, pulls this body down, and there's like, does not look like a full-size body. And he puts it on the table, and he goes off, and he comes back, and he hands Lentz this file folder. And Lentz looks at you and goes, you ready?
Is anyone ever ready?
All right. And he pulls open this body bag, and you see at first this face of this sort of a man, nondescript. He doesn't look particularly strange, The only thing that might be odd to you is that his face, his mouth is twisted into a look of shock, and his eyes have been closed, but it is clear that whatever he saw before he died frightened him to death. And once in the body itself has got that sort of greenish blue color of early decomposition. And as he opens up the bag a little bit further and pulls open this body bag, you see these strange round bruises, circles, just all over his chest and his arm and his torso. And in the center of each bruise, there's a lump. And in the center of each lump, there's a little pinprick. And they're all over his body. And as the bag gets opened a little bit further, there's nothing. There's just ragged flesh, as if he was not cut cleanly, but ripped. It's as if torn off with some extreme force. And a little bit further below, there's a bag that holds all of his entrails that have spilled out of his body. And I need you to roll stability for me, please.
I was curious if it was going to be cool or stability.
Oh, so yeah, it's stability, my friend.
Okay, so this is a 2 dice roll. So
it is.
Do the first one, and then is it that you add them together?
You add them together. And you need a 9 to advance.
A 9?
You need a 9. There is an extra problem available for you if you would like it.
Let me see some rolls, though. I want to see if I'm even going to get close.
A 2. It's your first roll. You get one more. A 7. So here's the question. Do you think... chat. In this game, sort of like Powered by the Apocalypse, you have a number that will get you an advance, which is a full success.
Yeah.
And then there's a number that is a fail, and somewhere in between is a hold. She knows what the advance number is, a 9, but she does not know what the failure number is. So the question she has to ask herself is, do you feel lucky, punk? No, do you think that 7 is good enough? Or do you want the extra problem?
I'm going to take the problem because I need to advance. Mm-hmm. Because the hold might be, I don't see it anymore. I don't throw up, but I don't see it anymore. And I need all the information I can on this.
I'm going to hand you an extra problem.
Okay, and so I'm going to look...
Let me make it taller and bigger for you.
Okay, cool.
This problem here. And tell me, can you move it?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. You have the extra problem, jaded. Why don't you tell us about this new problem you've taken on?
Yeah, jaded. Only someone with ice in her veins could hold her cool like that. Your next push for reassurance or inspiration costs double as the words take like within your mouth. Take like ash in your mouth. Discard this card. If you don't have 2 pushes, you can't push.
So you are jaded, my friend. You get another die roll.
Oh, good. Okay, let's see what we got here. It's got to be a 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it.
5. With a 12, you advance, which means you actually get an edge for advancing.
So was that worth it? We don't know.
Let's see. You get the edge. The world must know. Why don't you tell us about it?
Okay, are you going to make it bigger?
Here you go, bigger for you.
Okay, cool. And I'm going to zoom in so I can read it.
Please do.
The world must know. You stumbled into the middle of a massive cover-up. No ordinary man could have done this, and the police must know it. You have a cause. Discard to gain a push.
So you can discard this to gain a push at any time.
Oh, right. That'll be good for me.
The body reminds you of the time you covered a train wreck where somebody got ripped apart by being hit by a train.
This is not my first corpse.
This is not your first corpse, and it's not your first miserable corpse. Now, you've not seen those weird bruises before, but there's a first time for everything, and you are ice cold. It's a little creepy, but you are not even nauseated.
No. I am glad to have the rag.
Mm-hmm.
But I look over this and I was told not to take any evidence.
You were told not to steal any evidence.
I would like to take photos if they let me.
He looks at you. And he's got this file folder which has got photos, and he's like, all right, you can take photos.
It's for the paper. And I think she tries to take photos of the interesting things. Of like the weird pus. I don't want to take pictures of the entrails or the bottom. But like face and then the weird pockets. And I know that she, like, for sure it's gonna be a hard push to get these pictures on the front. But now she's slightly curious of what kind of weapon could do that.
And you can tell that there are a couple of these weird lumps and bruises have been cut out.
That's what I was curious about.
Because clearly they've done their autopsy already on the body. And you would know from your experience that it's been a couple of days already. They would have done the autopsy. And like, Lince is just there with his folder, with his autopsy folder, just sort of like looking at you take photographs, feeling a little bored as he eats his roast beef sandwich, just biting into this sort of like raw flesh of the sandwich as you stand in front of this body.
Hey, Lince, what could have done this? What'd you guys figure out?
What could have done what?
These weird pockets.
Oh.
This ain't no knife. This ain't no gun. What does this?
You want to hear something funny?
Always.
Guess what the cause of death was? Huh?
Half his body was missing.
Nope. Not the cause of death. That happened afterwards.
What? I think she gives another look over. Was he scared to death, or?
Yes. Massive coronary event. How's that? Good for your story, right?
The best for this story.
Yeah, it was a massive coronary event, and then all of this happened afterwards. And you know how we know?
How?
The venom is still in those little wound marks. If he were still alive, the venom would have gone through his body, but he was already dead.
There's venom in the... Okay.
Uh-huh.
Cool it. You're telling me he got scared to death, then something bit him, and then ate half of him.
Yeah?
You see anything like this ever? Anything?
No. Here's a weird thing, though. We did a little bit of science on the venom.
Yeah.
And, the venom doesn't match any known species. Closest thing we got is maybe a jellyfish?
What's a jellyfish doing?
Hey.
In the burrow.
Don't look at me. I don't know.
Lens, could you think, like, could this have been I don't want to say sci fiction. Is there anybody who's making these poisons that you know of? I mean, this seems odd for New York.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. Since it's not any kind of known animal, I would think that it was some sort of I would think maybe it was some sort of artificial thing made by some kind of creeper or something, but why they would do it, I don't know. And why they would fake a weird jellyfish murder, I don't know, but I'm thinking it's something strange.
And then he didn't have a dog. What ate him?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what. Maybe he was like. I don't know what did it, but they said it's that neighbor guy.
I mean, he was weird, but he ain't this weird.
Look, I'll tell you what. You gotta close your case, right?
Gotta write that story.
And he just like takes another big bite of that roast beef sandwich, and he puts it on the table right next to the body. And he like picks his teeth. I'm gonna tell you, this is not one of those cases that solves easy. So if there's like a suspect they got, they're gonna go with that.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Maybe I'm gonna guess, try to get a confession out of them so they don't have to really deal with this on, you know.
Yeah, no jury's gonna want to see this. That's
Nope.
For sure. So we're thinking, oh my goodness, poor Myron though.
Yep. Massive coronary event. Scared to death. Doesn't happen normally.
Can you think of anyone that had something similar to this? Like Matt died, scared to death like this.
No, that's not first time I saw it. At least anytime recent. And I've never seen anything like this. Never. He just picks up that roast beef sandwich from right by the body and the entrails. Yep. Takes a bite. Oh.
Well.
Hey.
Yeah.
Does it scare you? The body?
This is not my first time I've seen just the top half.
He takes another bite of the sandwich.
Would be surprised if I just found the bottom, though.
It's fair. Sinclair. You're one tough dame.
Take it as a compliment.
Yeah, it's a compliment.
So how's the kid, Lyron?
Well, he's going through some kind of phase. Yeah. Too much jazz, too much drinking, wants to be a musician. I think he should be a doctor.
You know what you should do? Let him become a musician. Let his heart get ruined. Then he'll be a doctor. Gotta crush your dreams one day.
I like that. I like the way you think, Sinclair. Crush his dreams, then he'll come back to being a doctor.
I mean, it works for some people.
I'll give him a couple of years. Does this thing with the saxophone? Who plays the saxophone?
People who aren't yet doctors.
All right, Sinclair.
Give my best.
Keep my name out of the paper.
I can't. I will. I got these good photos. I don't need your name.
What do they say? A picture's worth like 57 words or something?
Only 57. I'm messing. It's 1,000. All right. I might, just venom.
Yeah. Weird, right? But after death.
But when the cop came in, then do you got a copy of that report in there?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I just peruse it?
Peruse only.
I'll put my pen down.
All right.
I just want to see if there's any mention of like an animal or how the difference between the time of death and when they came in.
When you're looking through it, it's got lenses like bad handwriting. He wasn't a doctor, but he's trying. He's trying with the bad handwriting. And you look at this, and he seems to be a little bit flummoxed and a little bit confused about what in the world has happened. And you can see like in the margins, like what kind of weapon could it have been? Could it have been a saw? Could it have been a knife? Could it have been an axe? And like, he's clearly going through all these options, and none of them actually sort of match what it looks like. His best he can tell, it looks like the body was gripped and then ripped apart is what it looks like to him. It looks like and he's like, maybe something like with like suckers on it, sort of like pulled, and then he's like, and there's, you can see he's really trying to figure this out, right? He's like, one person could not have ripped this body apart in half. That doesn't make any sense. And like sort of like details with the spine being ripped, and it's like, well, it could have been multiple people, but they would have been really strong. He's trying to figure out how this happened, and then he seems to be sort of curious by this venom that's sitting there pooling in these little hard lumps. And how they happen, and like you can see him trying to go through the compound, and what you get a lot of is that it doesn't make any sense. And then there are these little notes about the people who vomited when they came to see the body, just little notes in the margins, and he's like, this police officer, like, officer so and so vomited, officer so and so vomited, officer so and so didn't vomit, looked green. And then like which of his medical interns like he's just sort of like noting who freaked out and who didn't, which seems to be amusing to him in various ways. But also he seems to want to, this seems to be a way for him to note who he can trust. Like
it's weird because he's so bad to talk to, but too good of his job to fire.
Yes.
Like that's exactly what's going on. Like there's a reason he's kept in the morgue. Still good at his job.
And what's interesting is that when you go through, you notice there's a second autopsy report that is clean, that doesn't have all of those markings on it, the one that you'd probably turn in. And what's not in that second autopsy report is that one man could not have done this. And
so it's in that one they're like, the strength of one could have done. Oh my goodness.
That's just not in there, right? And you can tell from, because you have, I see your skills over there. Yeah, you've got streetwise, right? Also assess honesty, and you've known him for a while. And one thing you know about him is that he's not on the take in that way. And you can tell from his handwriting the difference between the first and the second, that he's not particularly happy about the second report, which is mostly the same, but just the one little detail so that theoretically one person could have done it. And you can tell he's not happy about it. Like the handwriting is cramped and angry, right?
So it's a report so that they can get it. Like there's a report so that there is a solution.
Yeah.
They want a solution because if this gets out, there might be rumors that there is a cult of ISIS that's coming around, ripping people apart. Like,
yeah, like this is not going to look good, right? When it hits the papers, depending on how it's spun, it's going to look bad, right?
Oh, Vivian is having a great time right now.
She's like, how bad will this look?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think she wants it to be like the cops are doing anything wrong or this management building. It's just like, isn't this funny? Isn't this weird? And I think that's, she goes home and that's how she starts writing it.
Yeah.
Like she's like, here's take one. It's a simple murder. This is what the police want. This is what would started the story. This is part two. This is what lovely apartment complex details, and that's where she wants to put the picture of everyone together, and then she wants the third piece on who he is, who is the suspect of this, and that's where a lot of this is open, because we need to go see Madame Isis, we need to go but there's this middle area that's like the occult, and that's what like the middle one is. The second part of the story is just.
May I ask you a question? You're doing this when you're at home?
Yeah, I think she's like starting to, because I think she wants to have multiple papers, and she could sell multiple papers and be front page 3 times.
I'm going to ask you a question as you're at home working on your typewriter and writing up your notes and working on this. Your roommate is there. Catherine Evans.
And this is my new roommate. This isn't the one I moved to New York with, right?
Yeah, because it is expensive, right? And you don't get paid enough to be able to live on your own.
No, nobody does in New York.
And she's, in the apartment as you're typing up, eating a salad. What is your relationship like with her?
I think she would say that she's friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I think Vivian thinks she's friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I think Catherine would call her cold. I think Catherine often invites her to do things, and I think Vivian says she's working. I think there's an age difference.
Yeah.
I think Catherine, there's I think Vivian put her place in the paper,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think Catherine agreed to it. So I think they have a pleasant relationship, and that's about it.
And, Catherine says hello to you when you come in, as you do. And she's eating her salad, and she sort of looks at you for that moment, and you probably don't even realize that she's looking at you. Or maybe you do, because you're on top of things. But she just watches you for a little bit, writing away, realizes that y'all are not having dinner together or really talking, and she goes back into her room. And she just says, I have an audition tomorrow.
I think if Catherine says something, Vivian will be polite.
Yeah.
And just be like, pause. Be like, oh, for what?
Well, I'm gonna audition for a play on Broadway. I mean, I have to take off work from the department store, but I think that I might maybe get a chance.
Really? What? That's so exciting. That's gonna be really cool. What part are you going for again?
I think I'm up for like a maid. It's not a big part, but if I get it,
you'll get it. You'll get your name in there. That's so good. Catherine.
It's off Broadway, but I'm still hopeful.
No, yeah. You're young. You got this. I think Vivian, these lines have been rehearsed. You got this. Go for it.
Thanks. I mean, I can't be a makeup counter sales girl forever, right?
No.
Although there is a woman who's been there for a long time.
But here's the thing. She's not you. You've got a certain je ne sais quoi, so to speak.
Yeah. Hey, good luck on your story, whatever it is.
Yeah. Do you need sleep tonight? Do you need to sleep well?
Yes.
I'm not going to tell you about it then.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh. Thanks. And she takes her salad, and she she's finished it, and she puts it in the sink. She washes it, puts it away, and she heads off to her room, leaving you in that sort of the bright light with your notes and your typewriter.
I think this is Vivian's I'm such a great roommate.
And as the evening starts to close, what is Vivian thinking about her next day tomorrow? What she has to do, and where is she at?
I think Vivian is perplexed. I don't think she's ever had a story that she actually doesn't know this, because when you start a story, you've always got an angle. Her angle was this guy's not the murderer. Well, I think he actually is. She didn't want to tell the Cain Mrs. Cain, but that's what she thought.
Yeah.
And then when she saw the crime scene, she's like, animal, got it. It's some sort of animal. And then there's the weird occult stories, and that's just fun. That's just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But she actually, after seeing that body, is like, there's some weird cult stuff. Not even cult. I think that's why she's interested to go to this ISIS thing. Because if she's already seen that this cult of
Nephthys.
This cult of Nephthys is willing to break into people's houses. So what else are they willing to do? So I think that's where she's going from there. She's excited about that angle. I think, while she's writing this article, when she's looking back to her notes, she's kind of excited for Thursday, but it's first the story.
Right. She's got a Thursday date. It'll probably be very comfortable and nice.
That's nice. And then Friday dancing.
Friday dancing in Broadway with Stella.
You know, maybe O'Connor will make an appearance on Friday.
Maybe. And maybe whatever that was that happened to Myron Fink will be strange but explainable.
A cult. She's thinking it's a cult. Like, she's thinking it's just this cult of net that's got too big over their head. She's gonna,
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's nothing for the public to worry about.
Nah, not yet.
And with a meeting with Madame Isis for tomorrow, and a character witness in the form of Charlie Fitzpatrick over at the electrical repair shop as another lead, you have a lot to think about as Vivian finally goes to sleep. And that is where we end today's session. Oh, my goodness.
It's very exciting. Like, I think what's nice is I don't actually know where this is going. I haven't done a lot of Cthulhu, so I'm like, this is all very, very good.
Thank you everyone for being here. It is so much appreciated, everyone who's been here in the audience. I want to thank especially Jackie Dash for being the warm and friendly and caring
Yes.
Vivian Sinclair.
And nice and honest and not at all blackmail-y.
No. Your blackmail today has been so excellent. I really appreciate all the blackmail that you did. It was the best. Please tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, so on Mondays, you can find me around 6 or 6:37 Pacific Standard, so late night for East Coast. And I think either Monday I have to talk to my people, but we're either going to start Tomb Raider, the last one, the last of the new ones, or we're going to finish Trauma Team. And if you need help spelling, you can find me on JAKIDASH. Yeah.
Oh, so good. And now, so you're going to be on Monday, you're going to be doing some Monday Fun Day.
Monday Fun Day.
And then next Sunday, at the same time, you will be here for part 2 of Fatal Frequencies.
Well, someone's got to write this article.
Someone's got to write this article. Oh my goodness. And I'm Trooper SJP, and you can find me here at Trooper SJP, the Twitch channel. But next Tuesday, I'll be playing in Little Red Dots, which is the little _red_dot channel for the Purloin Code, some sci-fi. And then next Wednesday, actually, I'm here at 6 p.m. Eastern Time to read a really terrible novel, Atlanta Nights, and then I'll be interviewing Little Red Dot and talking about her gamer stories. So that'll be
always
exciting.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I hope to do it next summer as well, and then get more people in, because I just want more and more people to tell their gamer stories.
I think that the more that I meet people who do stories, there's always one story that's just a hit, and so that's why it's always nice to hear everyone and be like, how do you create stories? How do you work with stories?
Oh, so good. If you all want to subscribe, you can. If you want to follow, you can. When we get 500 followers, we are going to do a visual novel in Pig Latin.
I did figure out the name of the game.
Which one?
It's called Code: Realize, and then Guardian of Rebirth. Because not only did you need Code: Realize, but you needed the other portion.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of title, and I like it. I also have a Patreon. There's a link for it now, finally, I've made the link live. So the Patreon is to help me put together RPG streams, because I want to do lots of shows on the channel. And if you want to be a Patreon, you can do that as well. That is all up to you. Code Realize, Guardian of Rebirth. So I think that's all of us. Thank you all for... Oh, no, wait, there is one thing I have to do. There's one thing.
Okay.
Over the course of the stream today, we did have some bits donations. And because we have bits donations, I have to sing We're in the Money as sung by Ginger Rogers in the film Gold Diggers of 1933 in Pig Latin. So for all of the subs, for all of the bits for you all. Earway and hey, the anime. Earway and hey, the anime. Eve way at gale at way up, way it way x te ute it gale ang way o. Earway and hey, the anime. E the I skays are ani say. Old me Andy 80 and pray ooey are oo tre oo vest ang young rayo. E we ever eat red lansley, ever wed bransley ute day. And when we see the landlord will look at the eye get right in the eye. We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Oh!
So talented. Like, I was like, all right. And I was like, oh no.
I've been practicing. I have been practicing that because Ginger Rogers is amazing. And as Coldrake notes, that was going to invoke the Dread Cthulhu, and now it's going to be bad for everybody. It's cool.
1 week. We have 1 week before Cthulhu.
One more week before Cthulhu. Thank you, everybody. It has been wonderful having you here. Take care of yourself, and I will catch you all on the flip side, everybody. Bye.
Bye.